Sirius XM Sports presents At the Races with Steve Byk. Horse racing, handicap, interviews. This is At the Races with Byk.
From Tampa Downs, a very good Wednesday, race fans. Sirius 162 XM 207, Sports Zone 999 if you're listening online, and at the website stevebyk.com. And happy to be over on the Gulf Coast. I'll tell you one thing. I've been coming here a while, and over off and on over 20 years. Tampa now has officially, and maybe even, the entire Gulf Coast infrastructure has reached the critical mass of traffic that they have over on the East Coast, over on the Treasure Coast. I'm telling you, it gets worse and worse. I'm amazed, actually, and you can see the construction. It's everywhere, and I typically stay out by Tarpon Springs, and I could just tell by how long it used to be. About it used to be 25 to 30 minutes. Then it was like 35 to 40. Now it's just under an hour. It's like 14 miles to get here. So it's tough. And then you say, well, stay closer. Well, it wasn't so easy. There was pretty well sold out, and a big downpour overnight. In fact, it woke me up. It was raining so hard, which is not unusual here. I've seen it before. In the meantime, the grass course could not be more beautiful. It's so you're going to have to sit through the usual gushing about what a delightful place it is. Tampa Bay Downs and Mrs. Thayer and the whole team, Margot and of course Jason Beam now, who now is institutional. He's right. He's I saw where he said it's going to be his sixth summer up at Colonial, and he's certainly been here probably another year or two. Right, so 7-8 years, whatever it is. We'll talk. I think if he doesn't stop by today, then we'll get Jason on Friday. But he's certainly gonna pop in here in what I'm christening the Marty McGee press. And Marty would be shocked. And maybe they're doing it. Maybe they did it because Dave Grenning is here. But they've installed a beautiful flat screen TV here in the press quarters. Yeah, and they've never had this for Marty. I'll be sure to point that out to Dave. Dave's going to come in. Dave hasn't been here, he said, in 20-something years. So the rest of the building is nothing changes here. That's one of its charms, actually. Yeah, there's no big infrastructure changes to Tampa Bay, and charming and so should have a terrific card. They'll take entries, and we'll dig in tomorrow. I didn't see where Dave. I didn't see any names or any ins and outs other than those not about yesterday that Dave reported Sunday into Monday. So, all right, let's set the stage. It's Wednesday, so we've got a lot of our standard fare, including at the bottom of the hour, Dick Powell, and I have not pulled up the Hong Kong. I did get Dick Powell's late pick 3 play up on. So let's get on so I don't know how we did in the first leg. I was doing a few different things. Here we go. A little HK, little Happy Valley. 9 to take live. The 9th race. Dick is going to join us a little late because Dave O'Rourke is going to join us in about 10 minutes. And of course, the president and CEO of the New York Racing Association, who's been in the news. NYRA, there was a little the last 48 hours. Yeah. We'll talk to Dave about some of the back end work that has gone into this into this model and design and what lies ahead and some of the timeline topics that some people who I think have drawn a few conclusions, and that includes Breeders' Cup, and of course the Breeders' Cup made it very clear. In fact, Pat and I were talking yesterday as I was driving. The Breeders' Cup said point blank that they, as soon as Belmont is ready to receive a Breeders' Cup, that it'll come back to New York. So the speculation I saw where people were thinking, oh, that means we're going to get the Breeders' Cup in New York in 2026. I don't think it means that, because the way the timeline is set right now is to be ready September of 26 to have the first full meet back with it being ready September 26. But it's a little bit too hairy to to commit and lock in a Breeders' Cup for, October, November of that year. I would think that you're not going to see a Breeders' Cup at Belmont until 27. So there'll probably be an interim, probably be a Keeneland. Well, Del Mar 2 years in a row. You would think maybe a Keeneland, for 26, and then Belmont, a spanking new Belmont Breeders' Cup in 27. That seems to make sense. I do want to ask Dave what their thoughts are about and his thinking toward Belmont 26, because I would, from everything, if you read the lines, from everything they're saying, they really want to get back to Belmont as soon as possible with the stake, and so the speculation that a third Belmont at Saratoga, I could sort of read around it, but let's let Dave address that. All right. Plus, we'll also catch up on a few other things. One thing I've not had a chance to talk to Dave about is his involvement on the racetrack surfaces topic. That'll be. I'll slip that in. He's only got 15 minutes because he's got a meeting, but I did want to get Dave on all the myriad topics that have been in the news. All right, Sid, and I thought maybe Sid would come visit again, a live visit, but he can't. So we'll do Sid by phone. You may have seen that Lewis Lee heard about as august a family in Lexington racing history as there's ever been. Passed age of 88 yesterday, and looking, I think, at 10:30 for a visit to pay tribute. I mean, this is you read through the history. I mean, from James Ben Ali Hagan to Hal Price Headley and I mean the Fallon, and I mean just Hagen's father, Lewis Lee II. It's just synonymous with Keeneland. So hearts go out, and hoping for a visit, perhaps from Shannon Arvin, around 10:30. Later, we'll look up north to northern Kentucky and the Turfway action. And speaking of which, I don't know if you saw right now at drf.com, there's a piece from Nicole Russo. We love when he set and let her write about racing. She followed up on the Battaglia, and it's very interesting, actually. Brad Cox and his assistant, were suggesting that Encino, instead of looking to the Rubin, Encino may make get a dirt try in right away and try the bluegrass. I mean, so every single week, these winners are turning their attention to the bluegrass. Pretty wild, and that included Gargano with Dornick. So the bluegrass is looking. Speaking of Kane, bluegrass is looking like a tight battle with about as many of the top contenders arcing toward Derby as you could possibly want. So we'll see how the rest of it shapes up. Let me also slip in, speaking of Titanic, well, there's a segue. You obviously saw the extent yesterday of the news involving Heisa and Haiwu dropping the University of Kentucky Equine Testing Laboratory as the university engages in a investigation involving Dr. Stanley, who is as respected a research veterinarian and academic veterinarian as you could find. I mean, years at Cal Davis. No one pending the results of the investigation. No one seems to want to say too much, but it sort of feels like some procedural errors and so forth. So in the meantime, Haiwu will send the samples that were being handled, Kentucky and Florida, it seems, will send them now to industrial in Colorado. And there obviously will be more. I mean, Dr. Stanley's staying on and specifically working at Gluck. And he's working on, I know he's got that project involving genome or mapping, DNA mapping, to create a baseline, so that if there's variations off of it, be a way for anything that might have been introduced to a horse. So there'll be more on that. And actually, there's some other Haiwu hijinks. We could do a segment. We'll get to that. I've got some of the results from yesterday too. I want to slip in Parks with those stakes. We'll get to that and more. All right. Let's get Dave. Timing is perfect, and I don't want to any of that time that I've got devoted. All right, and wading through a couple of messages. And Dave will bring us up to speed on everything everybody wants to know. First and foremost, though, we'll say good morning, Dave O'Rourke.
Hey, good morning.
Dave, I appreciate this, and certainly appreciative the governor's office. This was kind of an update that you would expect from the racing organization. But the governor's so eager and excited about all this. I thought it was great that it came from there.
Yeah, Governor Hochul's been a great supporter, since she's been in, and she's helped spearhead this project, and it's great for Nassau County. 20 to 30,000 employees in New York around horse racing as well.
Give everybody sort of the lead up and the framework of the design and what has gotten us to this point, and the timeline, and you can help us help fans and horse players and everybody and stakeholders understand how everything's going to transpire.
Yeah, well, look, this project, I've been with NYRA for about 16 years, and the downstate consolidation is not a new concept, obviously. And over the last 5 years, it really started to move forward in terms of what we want to do with the building. Would we retrofit what was there? Would we take it down and put up something new? It was once you started looking at the numbers and what it would take, it was pretty straightforward that it really required a rebuild. And at that point, the last couple of years, Populous had come in, and we've gone through designs, and the design we have right in front of us, it's modern, and it might be a little polarizing, but I think as we get into what the building, how it'll function, and why certain decisions are made, like in terms of glass, and the building faces north, and obviously it's towards the paddock. And when you're looking at, a modern green building, like how would you design it? And that'll really come to light as we get further and further explaining the functionality of the building with the public. There's a lot of cool concepts here. In this building, pretty much on each floor, front to back views of the paddock and the track. It's terraced on each side, almost every floor as well. So this is really be something cool for New York, and it's on its way, about 2 years.
And then before we talk about some timing and some of the major calendar events and how they might how the timing affects them, a couple of things about the design and the utility, because one thing, Dave, that I think people are forgetting, Andy brought this up yesterday, and he made a fabulous point about the infield. People are talking about the smaller building, but there's the extra space between the grandstand side and the old train siding. So sort of and UBS. So there's like a whole another space to be utilized there, and then there's however the infield is going to be employed. So there's a lot going on here that is going to be new to people.
Yeah, I think the green space is going up 5x from roughly 6 acres to about 32. The grandstand area, that's about 4.5 acres to be cleared out. Now that'll be used a lot for overlay when we scale up for big events. There'll be a high-end tenting there, and it's going to be set up with all the infrastructure, so that will go smooth. The infield, you're looking at 25 acres or so of usable space. It's massive. It's going to be an asset for big days, but also off days for community use. And in the backyard, and it's not evident when you're looking at the renderings, really, a lot of questions about the tree. That tree is actually 50 feet or so behind the paddock. So there's a lot of space being opened up even in the backyard itself, because the building's a lot narrower, and it's kind of moving forward in a sense, that whole compound with the paddock towards the rail. So there's going to be a lot of green space, a lot of opportunity for functions, during racing and outside of racing, and also for community access. Nassau County, there's really not any big parks in that area, and we're really creating one right here.
Let's address the tree, since you mentioned the tree. The tree. for those that don't really get up close to it, the tree is being held together by literally stanchions and pulleys, and the tree has been in rough shape for a long time. Explain to people what's going to go into protecting it essentially.
Yeah, we're bringing in experts because there's a lot of trees back there that have history. So, as part of this, we're bringing in outside experts on what can we do, protect trees near areas that are going to be disturbed. This one's kind of further back, but it is as you said, in a fragile state. There's a lot of metal wire really kind of helping it support its limbs because they get heavy in that type of trees. It's about, I've heard estimates of like 200 years old. So we're going to do everything we can to preserve it. It's not going to be in an active area, so our hopes are high that it'll be fine.
It's the Hyman Roth of trees. That's a
little bit more like pose that question, but he's on it.
I know that all of America's fine tree experts will be decision and taking care of it. I talk about the design, and for those, it's come up quite often because Alan Foreman, of course, and the people in Maryland are working with Populous, and they've really they really are the go-to design team for the modernization or for the rebuilds. I mean, things like Ascot and Long and new racetrack in the world they've run. So they've got a unique knowledge of how to employ space, and then in terms of do have somebody on the board in Mark's Towers and build modern buildings. So it feels like the direction you ended up in is pretty understandable.
Yeah, with the leadership of Mark, I mean, he's obviously one of the biggest builders in New York of his generation, with one Vanderbilt, one Madison. So, his advice and his guidance in this process. This is a design that people are going to love or hate at first, but I think once you start to use the building and start to understand why certain decisions were made, it completely transformed the experience at Belmont Park. Like, Belmont Park had some beautiful angles on it, but there was a lot of things about it. It likely happened over time, where the south facing part of the building, like pretty much all the outs or whatnot, and that prevented the light building. And as you would know, you go to Belmont and it was older inside than outside.
Yep.
And these are things, and if you're at Belmont, one of the things that always kind of bothered me, and I don't know why it was decided at the time, there was these beautiful balconies those were connected to offices. So there's a lot of for the customer. In terms of layer, there's one floor on the second. It's on the second floor called the Club, and it's really a big room that has front to back views of the track and paddock. And for us, like, that's kind of like the everyday spot to hang out. So it's been thought through from how do we operate it in the middle of the winter when we don't want maybe the whole building. What do we do to an event day with 50 to 100,000 people if we want, because of the infield. So there's been a lot of thought put in this, and it's still evolving. The shell of it isn't really changing, but like the components, we're getting adjusted as we do flow throughs with how people move through the building. The deck on top is really a cool feature too. And that kind of harks back a little bit to the old Belmont, the one before the last one, where they actually had bleachers on the roof. We didn't go that far, but the top floor of this, the majority of it is an open floor deck. So there's going to be a lot of things about this that I think people are really going to grasp onto and love.
Well, from a design standpoint, somebody took some art and architecture. It's stunning. and uh, uh, unbelievably exciting. Let's talk about and what this means back to the situation at Saratoga. But Dave, if everything works on the timing as suggested, will there be a Belmont Stakes at Belmont with the building not yet complete? That's question one. And then, of course, question two, speculation from early on with the Breeders' Cup was they said that when there's a new heated Belmont and we're coming back to New York, come back as early as 2026.
With the first one right now, the time to have the building majoritarily completed by 26 to have that Belmont there. So the plan is to have the Belmont in June of 27 at that current site. Some of the interior finishes might not be ready. We expect that to happen. Breeders' Cup, we're in conversation now. We can't answer for them coming in 26. We'd love them to. But we're definitely set to get into the rotation. Was there another question, or is it?
No, that was it. Belmont and Breeders' Cup in 26 are the two that that are the obvious. Because if September of 26 is earmarked as the official of the building and the first full meet and so forth with the building complete. I mean, that's fairly tight up again. If there's any delays or anything that that holds the project back, you know what I mean?
There's always force majeure, but right now everything fits with the schedule with contingency baked in, so we should be good.
Outstanding. Let me then get back to other parts of what's going to go on between now and 2026. The Belmont at Saratoga, Dave, sold out in minutes and then in days, essentially. The excitement is through the roof upstate. The other elements that everything that has been associated with it, and that includes the numbers that came out of the American Horse Council Economic Impact Study. Then the numbers that were suggested, between not just this project. Realize too that at Aqueduct, Resorts World is investing $5 billion. What'll be an aqueduct park for the long term, and that's only possible because of what's happening at Belmont. So this is all a cohesive, active economic driver.
Yeah, it is. Because by exiting Aqueduct, we're releasing up over 100 acres for development. You can see that in the Resorts World proposal. So this was a very smart investment by the state. And now by redoing Belmont Park, we've got a year-round facility. We secured for not only the Belmont Stakes, which is an international event, but to bring the Breeders' Cup in. And it opens up the entire campus to work with UBS on other aspects with that park. The Islanders, actually a pretty cool thing going on this winter with skating in our backyard. So if you start looking at that and think about expanding that out and what could be done on a year-round basis, Belmont's going to be amazing. And then Aqueduct's got future growth, future potential for development. So this, economically, was a home run.
Now, that economic impact number, $3 billion and employment of 20,000 in New York, that coming out of the American Horse Council report. Dave, I want to also, first chance that you and I have had to talk since your inclusion, more than inclusion, in the surfaces committee that has come together for HISA. Some thoughts about kind of a revisit here, 6 months removed from everybody trying to examine and speculate about surfaces in American racing.
Yeah, and we're still putting this together in terms of the report, but what you're seeing is rains definitely have an impact, especially when you have significant amounts over a significant period of time. But on the same time, if you look at the data over the last several years, there's been a lot of progress made in terms of the safety on dirt with the maintenance as well. So I think a lot of what you're pointing to is having the access, and I'll just use the term access, to three surfaces, whether it's for training, whether it's for when you're off the turf. I mean, that's the direction that I'm seeing there. And it's really something we've decided to do with Belmont before we really got into this, but there's more verification that approach is probably a good one, specifically when you're in a temperate climate. You know, it's a story if you're racing in extremely dry climate, where you don't have the factor of rain, you control the water better. So for us, like, you know, this isn't done. This is going to be an evolving process. It also comes into the suppliers for synthetics, the research going into synthetics, and the same thing for dirt and the construction of tracks as people invest. Like, we're investing in all new racing surfaces at Belmont. I think you're going to see something similar going on at Pimlico. So I think this is good. I think the timing's good, and the group. And, you know, that information will start to come out over the next several months. I don't think there's anything shocking to anyone in terms of the data. It's just, you know, what do we have? What have we done? What can we do in terms of preventative with vets? And then what can we do in terms of adoption of technology, whether it's trackers during training even, or actual surface construction and maintenance.
Well, I look forward to that. I did want to slip it in as part of the visit. Dave O'Rourke joining us to not just get informed about the new Belmont Park, but really to kind of celebrate what was a long time coming, and one of those things, Dave, that some people, you know, just refuse to believe would ever happen. You know, that all the plans and all the hopes, you know, for everything in terms of how the association would operate and its future, very, very tangible with the release of this update and you know, these renderings.
No, we're excited. The industry is excited, and this is going to be. We're going to get this done in the next 2 years, and then we're going to have one heck of an opening in 26 for that Belmont, and we'll move forward from there.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and looking forward now really to getting upstate. That's the next big, you know, there's going to be all these checkpoints along the way, and the next one will be the first of two Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna have a nice distraction over the next 2 years, because that's gonna be one heck of an event. That's gonna be fun.
People, sometimes we, you know, tongue in cheek say, "Oh, you know, people are stopping me in the grocery store." In fact, people have stopped me at Hannaford in Greenwich to talk about it. It's amazing how excited people are. So everything's in place, and everything's in place for a new Belmont Park come 2026. Dave O'Rourke, as always, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Dave O'Rourke, folks, and the plans, which could include a 2026 Breeders' Cup, possibly, and will seem to feature a 2026. Belmont at Belmont, even with the building only, you know, getting close to June, July, August, September. So it would be, you know, another 60 to 90 days from completion, from total completion. But pretty exciting, to say the least. Let's talk to Dick Powell, because, you know, Dick is somebody that, you know, Dick is reserved. We'll see. We'll let Dick be the arbiter, and see how he take his take on the new building. Dick Powell, good morning.
Steve, good morning. That was interesting, and what I did was I went to the governor's website and downloaded the entire report.
Yeah.
That has all the renderings and stuff like that. So that was interesting. And yeah.
What did from a design standpoint, aesthetically, did you find it pleasing?
What do I know about this?
All right. Well, because you've been to some big international venues, and
It's true, but it's a matter of functionality. You could have a beautiful design and it doesn't work. So this looks like it's going to have both. One thing I noticed, I'm not nitpicking, but the finish line has been moved farther down the stretch, which means the run into the first turn is a lot shorter. So for 6 furlong dirt races, I'll be curious to see how far up they have to move the gate on the backstretch, because they're going to have to accommodate a longer stretch. Now, one thing, Belmont always had this reputation of how stretch was, and it wasn't. And it was because Belmont was a 12 furlong track divided in half. And the finish line was literally halfway through the home stretch. So it was only like 960 feet or 1,000 feet. There was other tracks way longer. Now, granted, it's a big sweep and turn that you already have momentum before you even hit the straightaway. So now it'll be more like other tracks where you're going to finish. You turn home, you might have 1,100 feet, 1,200 feet. So that looked interesting. And when you look at one of the renderings, you really do get the sense of how the building is, and what David was saying, being able to see like front side and back side at the same time. It's a more narrow building. Years ago, when you built racetracks, you had to have big, wide monstrosities on one side, and on the other side of the neutral bay was cash tickets. So you had that room for lines on both sides. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. So a lot of that space was really wasted, and be much more economical and efficient.
Also bright and airy, and obviously warm. It's going to be a winterized building way. And as Dave, I mean, even in what should have been warmer temperatures, the building was just cold. I mean, whether it's the steel, the superstructure, and it is going to take a demolition team. I mean, to take this building down. Conglanes has, he's got the office in the basement with the photo studio, and the concrete walls down there. And they said if there was ever a nuclear attack, he knows where he would. He said he knows where he would head. Yeah,
exactly.
He would head to Belmont.
Yeah.
So
and that not only cold outside. Wow, it was just. Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was so cold, and I came prepared, and I was still.
It was unbelievable. It's hard to describe. I mean, just how bitterly cold it was. And then I do remember that distinctly for being the Sopranos Breeders' Cup, because they were all half the cast seemed to have been at the Breeders' Cup, and there was a part in the tent in the backyard, one of the backyard tents after the races, and they were all there. So that always sticks in my head. But I just remember, and I too. I mean, I had a heavy wool coat and a hat, and I mean, it took forever to get to get warm. So this will be this.
So
Yeah, it's exciting.
And it's something newsworthy for New York racing that's positive and futuristic and all that.
Well, not if you're on not,
See,
not if you're on social media.
That's the beauty of Dick Powell. He's not
Good, because that. I mean, I've never seen any so ridiculous. It's amazing. It's just something else. Finding, trying to go out of your way to, find complaints, and all anybody had to do was look at the projects that they've been involved in, Populous, and all, ask it, Longchamp and the Quran. They all have that, went in that direction. Sparkling glass and modern, modern styling. Yeah, we didn't need to build a new Ebbets Field here. That wasn't the idea. Just because Camden Yards and the, you had that baseball, we didn't have to go in that direction. Well, let's go in the direction of HKJC, where I hope everybody got on board, because Dick is 2 for 2 as we look toward the nightcap. 8 minutes to post in the Happy Valley 9th, and this includes a 1540 winner that was booted home by you, Bowman, Celestial Colors, and trainer Jamie Richards. But then Strongest Boy came through, and David Hayes and Zach Burton. So nice job, Dick.
Well, you gave Celestial Colors. This is sensational, right? This one off the lead, and even turning for home, and never looked like he was going to go after the leader, but he was kind of inexperienced, so he suddenly lost energy. There's no one behind coming, so you got it done then. And then last race, Zach Burton just arrived on the scene real late with Strongest Boy, second choice, and he got up in time. So we are live with the 3 Lyrical Motion. Hugh Bowman, who's having a big day, and Casper Towns, who's the king of Happy Valley, so that's a good combination there. They're in terrific form coming in, and they're getting bet like they're in terrific form. Flying Phantom, young horse, only has 4 starts, 2 back, ran really well, gets Zach back aboard, and he just looks like he has a lot of improvement in him. He's a 3-year-old, so he has an upside. Hopefully he'll show it today. And then number 9, Happy Soul, from Danny Shum and Keegan DeMello. And last time out, beat 2, and before that, same thing, beaten 2. He's in every race. He draws much better today. Got to stay out of traffic from down on the inside, but I think if he gets any kind of trip, he'll be a big factor. So 379, we're alive.
Excellent. Let's let me turn to, where's it go? Come on, here we go. Let's get some pricing too. What do you got for prices, Dick, on those?
Let's see.
Lyrical Motion.
Lyrical Motion is 3 to 1.
3 to 1. There we go. I got it. Yeah.
Happy Soul is 6. Flying Phantom is 9 to 5. So we're rooting for Happy Soul, but I'll take any of them.
Yeah, we don't get will pays.
No, I looked for them. No.
So no problem. All right. All I know is plenty of people are holding tickets.
And speaking of will pays, the other night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, the last 3 races were 10 to 1, 9 to 1, and 5 to 2 second choice. And the pick 3 paid $1,200. I didn't have it, but I was just like, when I looked at the prices, the late trebles over $6,000 for the $10 mutual. Are you kidding? And the tender ones weren't. It's not like there was an odds-on horse in there that sucked up all the money, but it was just crazy. So the lesson is when you have 14 horse fields times 14 horse times 14 horse, you got a lot of combinations. Money gets spread out. So if you have all three, you're usually going to get rewarded.
No doubt. No doubt. And I would think that these payouts could be handsome. Really, no matter which, that first leg, that 4 minutes to post. Why don't you do a quick, any other portion of the recap from the weekend?
Well, the stake was the second leg of the 4-year-old series, the Hong Kong Classic Cup. Big favorite, Helios Express, won it very narrowly with Hugh Bowman, as usual. Nice 4-year-old. He seems to be able to stretch out. He seems to be able to relax better in his races. So he's now of the 4-year-old series. The Hong Kong Derby will be March 24th. So that's coming up to an end. It's nice to see these younger horses starting to mature and take up their places because it's, Hong Kong, you get some 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds with development, 5- and 6-year-old geldings. Then it depends on how well they're doing. So you got like in one door out the other, maybe 3-4 year window. So you need these young horses moving in, taking their place as the golden 60s of the world reach the end of their career. And he galloped the other day. So they stepped up his work. So he has the month of March, and I think the big race is April 28th. So he has about 8 weeks to see if he can get back to where he was winning in December. So that'll be Helios Express. Really, really nice win. Just game as could be. What I liked with the race was they all were in it. Chang Chang Glory is 52-1, just missed, and Sood is a nice horse. He was third for Ryan Moore, who was in the right now. And Starmac, it was a nice Helios Express users class to win it by 1/100th of a second. So it shows you how close the finish was. We'll see if he can complete the 3-race sweep. The other star of the night, one horse that stuck out, Divas 12 won a class 4 going a mile. Very fast time. Zach Purden rode for Chris So. This looks like he could be developing into a nice horse. And then Nervous Witness dominated a 1,000-meter sprint down the straightaway. He looks good. So it was a good week. Zach Purden kind of back in the catbird seat. He now he had 6 wins last week, 3 on Happy Valley, 3 at Shot 10. Harry Bentley had 3, Hugh Bowman had 3. So Zach still has the lead, 75 wins. Karis Teeton, who kind of slowed up last week, has 50, Hugh Bowman 38. And Angus Chung, who has a winner today, he's an apprentice rider that I expected a lot from, especially when Bowman got hurt in December. But lately, he's just grinding out a win every meet, doing well, winning around 10% of his maps, which is good in Hong Kong as the field sizes are so big. So Angus Chung doing well, and he's always a factor with the 5-pound. So that was last week. And this week we have just a tremendous 7-furlong sprint, a Group 1, the Queen's Silver League Jubilee Cup. The leading sprinter, Lucky Swainus, is in there. He's going to face California Spangle, Red Lion, this Galaxy Patch is a up-and-comer, terrific race. And that set up the rest of the sprint season for these horses. Victor, the winner, who's one of the other leading sprinters, is going to go to Japan in a race in a couple of weeks. So he won't be in it, but virtually every other top sprinter in Hong Kong is in Saturday night, Sunday mornings, Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup.
Nice.
It's also raining. It's raining at Hong Kong. It hasn't affected the track, but they had to move one of the winner circle presentations undercover, and yeah, it's running pretty good.
They're milling behind, so we're getting close, and I hope everybody's holding tickets and a chance to score here. It'll be fun. Be a good way to get the
and then with some of the winter, we've had James McDonald riding in Hong Kong on it like a short lease, and the hope is that he would eventually move his tech. He comes in, he kind of raids Hong Kong with big mounts and stuff, with Romantic Warrior especially, and he's done obviously very well as a world-class rider. He gets huge business in Australia. He comes in and gets top mounts in Hong Kong. So it'll be interesting what his plans are, whether he can ride here full time.
Let's get a final check. 7-2 on Lyrical Motion. You're 3. Flying Phantom is down to 2-1. Zach Purton. That's the 7 and the 9. Happy Soul. There was a Happy Soul in North America too. Remember, right? Just a couple of years ago, Happy Soul.
Yeah, I think it was a run half.
Yeah, Happy Soul. 5-1. So 379 gets us home, and just about set. Got a couple more to load in this nightcap. This the Tai Fung Coach Handicap. They're going to go 6. Good luck if you're riding along with here. Looks like 2 more to load, and we'll be set for a start.
Joyful Life 3.4 Flying Phantom Hero Star at around 18s now, as we the Tai Fung Coach Handicap to round out the night. Sergeant Pepper Barrier 1. Lined and ready, started on the rostrum. They're racing. He bounded away very quickly, did Sergeant Pepper from the inside, but not as quick as Hero Star for Angus Chung from Barrier 12. Handled bars down, and he crosses the face of the Lucky Planet second. Sergeant Pepper in the trail as the leaders back the tempo right off now, and a few getting on heels. And round the outside comes Joyful Life to now go up and have a look here at Hero Star. Back behind Sergeant Pepper, 1 off is Happy Golf, and then came Team Happy, who's 3 out. Back behind them is Happy Soul. There's Flying Phantom up earlier as well. Now he's 3 wide, up near the pace, racing at about Togepi is 4th last, followed by Mr. Fox, and then came Lyrical Motion and High Ride last one. Hero Star in front. Over Joyful Life. It is Flying Phantom, but he's tough. Lucky Planet travelling okay. Just needs it out. He's pocketed at this point. Now gets into the clear. Sergeant Pepper, Happy Soul back behind them. Happy Golf out wider. Hero Star still in front. Here's Happy Soul throw over on the inside. He's rushing after them now. He's claimed the lead. Here is Happy Soul. He's clear now by a length and a half. Lucky Planet, Happy Golf, but Happy Soul clears out to win the last. Lucky Planet, third and was Happy Golf, and then might be Lyrical Motion throw over on the inside.
Well, Dick, there we go, and that's a happy result.
That was the one we wanted. That was the better price of the 3.
Well, and he did not get off well. He sort of took like a hop skip and was last at the literally first call.
And what I was torn between him and the 12 as the 3rd pick. And I knew Chung was going to gun from the outside. And he's in with like 112 pounds. He's going to make the lead. The question is, how much energy is he going to use? And he got challenged by the 10, luckily. So he didn't get an easy lead from out there, and then kind of wore out the last 100 meters. But 9 came up the inside and won pretty convincingly.
And bounded home. And to be honest, Mello's ride here was clever. Here's the restart, and you'll see. Well, he you know what? He didn't break badly. He just was back and basically grabs the rail and holds position. Nice.
Yeah, well, luckily someone went up and contested the 12.
Yep. On the
'Cause
outside.
I don't know if they would have caught him if he was loose on the lead, as we like to say.
Well, we'll talk to Seth Merrill later. We were loose on the lead Saturday from Gulfstream Park, which was pretty funny. We had so much fun.
Yeah, I saw him down there. I saw him on the simulcast feed.
You didn't watch. You didn't watch the preview Saturday morning, 8 o'clock with the Seth and I.
No, if I'd have known, I might have. But no, I wasn't. I went. Well, the post was so early. I was at the harness track at like 10:15, 10:30.
Nice. And,
yeah, not bad. Not bad. It was. I enjoyed the race and stuff because Aqueduct, God, it was coming down side.
It was rough. It was rough.
Oh, that was awful.
What any thoughts about between the Gotham and Fountain and out west?
It was just a shame that the race, the Fountain Youth fell apart. 2 trainer scratches in the morning and then a scratch going to the gate. And it looked like Speakeasy's connections made the smart move, avoiding Conquest Warrior on Friday, who looked really good. But then they get there and he unseats and doesn't run. And now everyone's like, all right, we got one shot to get points. It'd be nice to be first or second. So, yeah, but Danny's horse was good, and I think he gets a lot out of that race. That even though the field wasn't as competitive, he was challenged, and Louis just kind of hand rode him while he was surrounded, inside outside. So I like that, and he finished good. I think he'll move way forward off that race. So he was good, despite the asterisk that's going to be put on the race with 3 horses not competing. But the other races were the Gulfstream turf is crazy fast. So they're running like a mile and a half, 2:22 or 3. This mile and 32. So that course, and it's held up great. Whatever they did this time when they put in a new turf course,
right?
Really, as we weather might have been, the last time they didn't get the right circumstances, but that course still looks good considering it's March and it's been hard used December, January, February.
Well, waiting and hoping. I was hoping before we wrapped that we'd maybe get a quick official domestically in terms of numbers, but I don't. It's not.
Yeah, that'll
be a couple.
Be all right.
Yeah,
Usually
usually takes them like 6-8 minutes after. So we'll keep an eye on it and congratulate Dick Powell on what I think is going to be a pretty nice pick 3 here to close out.
I think it worked out 4th choice, 2nd choice, 3rd choice.
Well, then every leg that it is not involved is an exponential benefit. So the final order here, by the way, 9-11-1-3 is how this finished up. That Lucky Planet ran very well. Bentley, and the one I think was a price. Happy Golf, 11-1. So
now they're going to read.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dick, I appreciate it, and well done. We'll give everybody the number when it comes up, and we'll talk to you from Ocala next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Steve.
Dick Powell, everybody, with a very nice score for all of you, and hope some of you came up. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for off to turn into finished here. Can tell you that Jason Beam is going to join us today. We'll speculate on the field. We think we know what the field is going to look like. A Derby, but it's just always fun to talk to Jason and catch up with him. So we'll do that after the bottom of the hour break. Typically, we would have had Sid here with us the last couple of years, and he couldn't make it. So we're going to do the phone with Sid too. All right. And now here it is. Of course, if I all I had to do was hold Dick for another 45 seconds, and we would have had the number to give him. All right. Let's go to the final. Happy Soul 70, and the pick 3, 168.40. 168.40. 289. So thanks to Dick Powell. That's the $1 pick 3. Sid Fernandez.
Good morning and welcome to Tampa.
I got to tell you, I texted you earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it has gotten every year. I've been coming for however many years. I mean, the first time I came to a Tampa Bay Derby was actually the Street Sense, the great Street Sense any given Saturday matchup. The traffic here, Sid, is rivaling the Belt Parkway and 95 on the other side of the state. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Steve, Tampa's been a magnet for people here. I just read the other day that every day there's 150 new people moving to Tampa. There's not enough housing here.
I stay a little bit north typically, and I can see it. I can see between, what is that, 75 and the Bay and the Gulf. That corridor is insane. The building. I mean, there's roads they're building. There's I see big tracts of property, and honestly, I think you could even push this out as far as Ocala, because Ocala is out of control. So it's like, right, this whole corridor. It's a triangle.
And then if you go into like the Tampa closer right into the city, it's even worse. Where I am. It's oh my God! I left New York
for that.
It's traffic. Yeah,
it's like it found you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why you hear all this construction in the background now too.
Well, and anybody, it's been going on. I asked you about the backup noise of the construction vehicles, and it's been going on for a long time. I mean, I suppose really, or if you made a triangle of Orlando, Tampa, it's a like a triumvirate.
High growth.
Yeah.
Real high growth area. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're not patient system.
No, they're not. No, they are not.
I can't help myself. I'm sorry. Sid, we started the morning with Dave O'Rourke updating us and going on with the new Belmont. What your whole life? What's your impression of this fresh new design?
Well, you can't fight. And the old Belmont was built for 70,000 plus people, right? You don't get that kind of on-track crowd anymore. So it's a matter of evolution right now.
Do you like you like aesthetics? What do you make of the aesthetic?
I do like aesthetics. I'm very much into aesthetics. Gina, leave it. I'm going to hold off on it until I see, what it's really like. But, just with that, it's symptomatic of, things happen, things change, full crops go down. Full crop used to be 55,000 for 18, right? So if you look at Belmont for 55,000 people and now it's built for 18, there's a parallel there.
No, fair point. It to me, it's very exciting that you're going to have by let's 27. So really only 3 to maybe 28. You're going to have all 3 venues of the Triple Crown are going to be state-of-the-art facilities. Churchill has been changing and morphing nonstop for 20 years. I first went there in '99, and that was the first time. And what that building is now, it isn't recognizable to what it was only 25 years ago.
Right.
And so they're using the existing facility. There's only going to be one part of the building once they finish this renovation for Derby 150. There's only going to be that one end of the clubhouse that they're sort of struggling with what to do with it. But ultimately, I'm sure it'll be refashioned. But what they've done at Churchill is just, and you're going to have an entirely new Pimlico and an entirely new Belmont. And racing can proudly say that they'll have, for its centerpiece event, the Triple Crown, facilities in American sport.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Yes, but yet, but yet, there's somebody they're out there trying to figure out a way to make it a negative. It's quite something. Let's get a couple of things in as well, Sid, because. No sooner had you floated an idea, not that First Racing, was reacting necessarily, but you made the suggestion about the potential for a series, and literally within 2 weeks, we get this announcement of the Pegasus, Preakness, and Cal Crown being put together, for a bonus for the 2 horses that could sweep the sequence. The same thing, not just for the dirt, but for the turf horse as well. It's what you wrote about it. I saw it in your piece. Some thoughts about what it represents, and you made the suggestion it could do some damage actually, and take away a little bit from the Triple Crown and Cup.
Well, we made that. You and I were discussing. That was a possibility, and to me, it was pretty obvious that they should do that. They did. They did do that, and of course, it's competition. One track wants to compete against the other. And so this year they had a ready-made audience because the Baffert horse, by choice, owners' choices, decided to go to Churchill Downs for the Derby. The owners could have moved their horse by the deadline and didn't. So that was a choice made by them not to go. So what First did was they came up with this incentive to plan for this. And, that January 31st broadcast where we discussed this we also discussed the fact that this could, help the older horse division as well. Here's what happens. You go through all these preps. You go to the Derby, and then you have to come back 2 weeks later in the Preakness. It chews up horses, right? Well, now, if the Baffert horses don't go to the Derby, they go the time in between their last start and the Preakness, which is a great saver for them. And then, if they win, they can structure a campaign to get to the Awesome Again Cal Crown name switch race with plenty of space. And then that horse could be ready for the Pegasus for a potential bonus. I pointed out in the article I wrote that it was, really based on, what's that horse that just won the Pegasus, National Treasures? It was based on his campaign. He didn't go in the Derby, contested the Awesome Again, ran fourth, and was the Pegasus, which he won. Right? Look at what happened with the horse over the weekend, Newgate. Didn't contest the Triple Crown. Now he's won the Big Cap. Have potential to have a big say in the handicap races or the older horse races this year, which is a boon to racing, right? What this does in terms of the Derby, though, is it potentially allows people to say, "Hey, you know what? It's too much. We're gonna wait for the Preakness." Now, it's not going to affect everybody, but the Baffert owners, he's won a lot of Derbies, as I pointed out in that broadcast. I don't know how they feel, but I'm sure some of them are ticked off. And ultimately, it could detract in the sense that it could detract competitors from the Derby, which, the Derby is supposed to be a race where all the top horses in the country, the 3-year-olds, get together to hammer it out. Well, this year, all the leading horses from California by choice are not going there. They could have gone if they moved their horses from Baffert. So that's why I say it was an owner decision to consciously say we're not going to the Derby. And as I pointed out in the broadcast with you on January 1, you want to just get directly, as I pointed out, it was a big FU. FU to CBI from Baffert's owners. So we'll see what happens. But it's a thing now that First Racing has done to come with the Triple Crown in a way by creating a bonus triple for their tracks, $5 million. Win the Preakness, you win the Awesome Again, and then you win the Pegasus. Besides all the purse money, and the Preakness purse money has been increased to $2 million from $1.5. You get a $5 million bonus just for that dirt series, right? So it's something that is definitely a competing reinforcer, as we say in dog training.
Yeah. The one thing that should be included is ideally, I mean, the concept that all the best 3-year-olds assemble for Derby, that's never played out historically. I mean, you think about any number of horses that either weren't ready or in some cases, I mean, just happenstance. Certainly none more famous than General Duke. Being scratched on Friday, and even recently. I mean, horses like Uncle Mo and Forte and Escandarea and so forth. I mean, the AP Indy not being ready, in time for, plenty of horses that just, for whatever reason, couldn't get there and didn't get there. To me, I don't know. The hand wringing from that standpoint of people saying, "Oh, it's not going to be representative, or it's not going to be," that's just.
Oh no, you're always going to get the horses, that through attrition from whatever it is, aren't going to make it.
Yep.
They're not going to make it. But in this particular case, and there could be, in this particular case, what's pretty evident is there's a bunch of horses there, take attrition out. They've actually consciously said before the Derby, we're not going.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
Anybody could be going for the Derby, Fortes, AP Indies, Stark, if you go back, got hurt the week of the Derby. There's all sorts of horses that get hurt, and that's just part of the game. But what's different here is the conscious decision of the Avengers with Imagination, who just won the San Felipe. Hammer Zidane with Muth and Maymoon. Susan Chu with Nisos, the top ranked colt so far. Doc Allard and Jack Liebau with Winstock.
Yep.
All saying well in advance, we're not going. So that's that's what's a little different about it.
True.
The conscious decision, regardless of what may happen with racing and attrition and getting hurt, they've just said we're not going. Now that's going to help their horses actually, because they're not going to be squeezed to get in, right?
Yeah.
So that's a positive effect. There's different ways. Now, I think competition's always good. So, First does this. Maybe they start the horses away. Maybe Churchill comes back and says, we're going to raise it to 10 million. Forcing people to look at it again. It's competition. And that could end up being a positive too. That could be the next step that Churchill does to answer this.
Good point. Yep. All right. Well, for those that haven't yet signed up at Substack for the work that Sid and Francis Karen are doing, go to Substack and put in your email. It's called Sid Fernando plus Francis J. Karen Observations, and it's great to have Sid and Francis churning out opinions.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, Steve. For the last year, I really wasn't doing much writing because I got this dog and I wanted to spend a lot of time kind of raising her. She just turned a year now, and I said, you can get that itch to go back and write again. So and it just so happened that our company blog at workhorse.com, the blog portion got dated and we couldn't update it. So we said, let's just start a Substack and get it out. And the response has been fantastic, I got to say. It's got some great analytics on there. And, we're getting like a reach of 15,000 people, which is pretty damn good for just two people putting out a blog,
Well, in 3 weeks or not even in a month.
I mean,
you just started it.
And they're all take nothing away from people on Twitter and their discussions and everything, but what's actually been kind of nice about it is they're knowledgeable people, mostly that are in the game, that are really interested in it. And we just put out a little post on Twitter that it's there, but it's not generating the Twitter outrage, the Twitter self-aggrandizement, the stuff that takes place on Twitter. And it's a much more knowledgeable group of readers. And so it's been kind of nice that way, and a revelation, actually.
Well, and that certainly quite welcome.
It certainly is.
Right, to say the least. Let me bring in Deterministic and the win in the Gotham, and there's real reason to believe this is a serious player as the sophomore campaigns unfold. Liam's map, which is notable for a couple of reasons in this environment, because you and I have talked extensively about Unbridled and the eagerness of some to malign him as some kind of detriment to the quality of equine stock. Liam's map with a Speightstown mare. And that is interesting in itself. Tisnow in this female family. Second dam is a Tisnow daughter. A Dixieland band mare. Amelia is the third dam. And there's an Aladar, not just an Aladar, but an Aladar daughter out of Courtly D. I mean, this is a powerful female family, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts about what Tom Hinkle fashioned here. This is a Hinkle Farms bred.
It's a terrific family. As you just mentioned, Aquilegia. I mean, this is that great Helen Alexander, Helen Groves, mother-daughter family that, this family, it's a family. It's nothing else that people don't remember. This is of Althea. In fact, Aquilegia is a sister to Althea. It's through the Aquilegia branch. It's a great family. I mean, the Aquilegia's daughter, Amelia by Dixieland Band, she's produced, at least 5 or 6 stakes winners. It's one of those great families that you want to have in your broodmare band. And, even though the second dam by Tell hasn't produced the dam by Speightstown comes up with this horse, and it's excuse me, allergies. It's it's what happens with really good families. They can come back, and here we have Deterministic from this family. Yeah, he is a serious horse. Liam's map and Arrogant were the last hopes of Unbridled Song as the sire maker. And Liam's map has already done that. He's a really good stallion. Stands at Lane's End. We actually did the mating of Liam's map. As well as half brother, not this time, another great. And again, sometimes there's a lull when a horse has a good success early on, and then you got to get through those third, fourth, and fifth books, and then they start to rebound again. That's what's happening here, and a very legit horse, incredibly great pedigree, and he's the type of horse that you think will really belongs as well.
And it's it's notable because I think people are going to glance at first blush Speightstown Dam and immediately wonder how eligible he is to go 10 panels or more.
Yeah, but that's not giving Speightstown his due, because Speightstown himself, as a sire, has had several horses that have won at 10 furlongs or above. In fact, the Speightstown's something I've written about in the past. It's called the Speightstown effect. They tend to be best after June of the 3-year-old season. Now, Speightstown himself didn't become a Grade 1 winner until he was 6. There's some developing component and Unbridled Song. That's the combination of both these horses. deterministic. He's a combination of those two lines. They need a little patience, but if you give that to them, and we've talked about this with Unbridled Song, where the later of his best, and that includes Arrogant and Liam's Map in that group, where some of the earlier ones looked physically mature, looked mentally mature, but they just weren't physically ready because of their size to take the early punishment, and a lot of them did break down. Once people started to understand that and give them more time, they were different horses. Same thing is actually true of Sightstown, even though physically he would appear to be a horse that would have really early touring horses because he's more of a pack sprinter build. But the same holds true for him too. Some of his best were horses that were best after June of their 3-year-old season. Deterministic, if you were to make a prediction, you would have to say this horse probably continue to improve throughout the handle properly. That's an exciting aspect to him if you were to look at it and incorporate pedigree into your management of the horse.
Well, certainly he's gotten any kind historically, and turf milers and all different types. And in fact, it's funny. I'm looking at this pedigree, Sid, and there's two brothers that Courtney D had part of this that. I'm going to have to file into my horses that time forgot. A pair of exclusive native sons, Native Courier and Keto, K-E-T-O-H.
Mm-hmm.
And Keto won the Cowden in his second start for Lucas, ran in the Aqueduct Breeders' Cup in '85, then got the winner off, won a stake at Santa Anita to start his 3-year-old, got sick and died.
Yeah.
Keto, 3 for 5, and then Native Courier, who was the younger brother earlier. I mean, she had 18 foals. This Native Courier was a terrific turf horse.
Yeah, I remember watching him too. Yeah, it was a terrific turf horse. The family did get a lot of turf runners. Bertolini, a very fast Danzig was a top horse in Europe. But don't forget also, this is also the family of Bayern, and he won the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he was by Awfully Wild. It was a 2-year-old horse, really. And so there's the possibility of turf, there's the possibility of dirt. Liam's Match himself, obviously, like you said, has been able to get runners across the spectrum, including sprinters, like the one at the G1 winner that's at the Spencer at Stud, as well as turf horses, like that horse that won the Pegasus Turf. Off the top, was it Colonel Liam?
You mean what, last year or the year? 2 years ago now? Because last year he missed that game. Yeah,
Colonel Liam.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
But then he's had good 2-year-olds like Juju's Map and that horse that won the Basin, that won the Hopeful. And so he gets a wide variety of horses, even though he's an Unbridled Song. And so does his family. So, there's a lot of possibilities here. And like I said, I would assume this horse on pedigree would continue to improve and actually get better with age too.
Well, and you could tell Christophe Clement, very excited, very bullish, and seems like a lot of people that sometimes are pretty discerning and dismissive, came away impressed with the performance. And of course, the wet track, I don't want to say tempers, tempers the excitement, but has to go out and take the next step. He was another horse that everybody point for the bluegrass. That was Chris considering the bluegrass for him as well. So 2 turns will be next for deterministic. We don't need to talk about Dornick. We did plenty of Dornick last year as a 2-year-old, so we'll save that. But again, we'll direct everybody toward the Substack and the opportunity to read. You've been using that observations as a
Very good
title for a long time.
Very good. Yeah, my first blog was Sid Fernando plus observations. Then that was on WordPress. Then on Substack, I later did that limited MF Doom blog, which was Sid Fernando plus observations on Substack. And then this third blog is Sid Fernando, Francis J. Karen, observations. And
even the thing from the Daily Racing Forum, right? Wasn't that observations?
No, that was the take stock. So I had that taking stock at Daily Racing Forum, and then when I was at TDN, I did the same thing.
There we go.
So the print media I do taking stock. The online stuff I do observations.
I like it. I carried around a similar kind of thing when I started writing at Colgate in the Maroon with you called it Concerning Sports, and kind of a take on Howard on Cosell, speaking of sports, and that was sort of the approach in that era. Pretty good. Sid, thank you as always.
Great. I'll talk to you soon.
And by the way, you're coming up to.
I'm hoping to, but with these allergies that I'm having, I gotta. I mean, I could not function at all yesterday. And so what happened is my wife Cynthia was wondering. I just realized she planted a garden here, native Florida plants.
So you're not used to it.
Things are just putting out all sorts of pollen.
Unbelievable. That's what they say. They say that everybody that's living in Arizona, they moved out there, for that kind of reason. But then they all planted like crazy, and they don't understand. Yeah. They don't understand why they're still having allergy problems because they've completely changed the makeup of the environment out there with all kinds of pollen. It's very funny.
I know.
Yeah, people just, I guess. The succulents weren't enough.
No.
Sid, I'll see you up there at Ocala.
All right, see you, Steve.
I appreciate it. There we go. Sid Fernando, everybody, and Sire Watch. Pedigree Focus brought to you by Hill and Dale. We'll take a quick break. Jason Beam is sitting here. Look, it's just unbelievable what you've done. You look fabulous. It's excited for you. Let me here take a headset, and you know what? I'm wondering. Let me see if since you're here, why waste the 3.5 minutes? Well, that's fine. They'll one way or the other. You know what? We can go to the top of the hour. That's fine.
You want to talk about allergies again?
You said.
I'm getting drilled with them. Yeah. So I was actually glad to hear. So hi, Sid. I haven't seen Sid since last year, but. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Since the first year I moved here, I didn't have any problems with. Last year there was something called the red tide over on the beach, and they were saying that was affecting a lot of people. But this year, I've been stuffed up for 3 straight months, and it never ends.
I have never dealt with it, but in the end of, I've had allergies, but right at the end of the year when we were in Ireland, and I had a little something. Mm-hmm. Tina had been really sick. But I've for the first time ever, I've got a little bit of a raspy thing that won't go away.
Yeah. I don't. It's and for me, it's mild enough to where it's just a nuisance, but it does get kind of annoying.
Well, and especially if you're in mid race, mid throat, and suddenly you hear in your own voice, you can hear that little gurgle and you know that. This is obviously people that speak for a living problems. So it's a little unusual.
I got to take a little swallow at the 3/8 pole. It was funny when Jessica was first getting started. Like we'd talk about little tricks of the trade and stuff, and because she was kind of learning on the fly. And I told her, I said, read the fractions to tell people the fractions, but they're the perfect break. The opening half mile 46 and 2. Okay, reset. I'm going to slide over. I'm going to move my. But it gives you some time, like
a semicolon.
Yeah, exactly. And so I always have used the fractions for my reset to kind of adjust and just take a breath and take a swallow if you need to. Sometimes you get too much saliva working up, which I know is gross. Sorry, people, but these are the hazards of the occupation. In fact, the Sam F. Davis followed midway on the turn because by the end I was kind of just, not in a comfortable way. I mean, it worked out fine, but yeah.
Then of course there's the bugs, the bugs flying.
That's Peter Barry's problem. That's he swallowed moths up there. So I swallowed a bug at Monmouth Park. It was the last race of a week. It was a Sunday. It was a turf race, and Monmouth, it's an open air.
It's an open booth,
and they're coming. Well, they were going in the gate, and I swallowed a bug, and so I hit the button, coughed as hard as I could, and the race is on, and a good start. And by the time they got in front of me, I had to turn it off, and I took a sip of water, I took a cough, still couldn't get it out, and the whole call was it was literally, "You're good, father. They're on the far turn, and here comes Jairo Rendon." Mike Deeney Rendon. And so just trying to, and I was like, no.
What a bug.
Yeah, but it's going to happen.
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen the. Usually you put the pictures of when they come on the glass.
Oh yeah, that's Colonial.
Colonial.
Colonial. There's like velociraptors crawling on the glass up there. Forget about it. Yeah, my first year, I didn't see them as much. Maybe the move to daytime has affected that, because when we ran nights, I mean, there were 6-inch crawling on those. I remember calling Joe Byrne and go, "What is this?" Because it was the same realization like when I saw an alligator here for the first time. Like, I'm from an alligator. I thought they were like mythic creatures that existed in a previous world. We got two that live right here. Exactly. Gaspar. He's not out today yet.
What's the other one's name?
I forget. But I think there's two. But it seems like you can only see one at a time.
Well, you should another one, Pasco.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Gaspar inaugural is not a very good name for an alligator.
It might be inaugural for the first person first patron that gets,
he ran on the track last year. He walked on the track. They had the funniest thing ever was one of the jocks who got kind of interfered with because another jock was trying to avoid the alligator. His spouse was the trainer. And when he got back, she goes, "Why didn't you claim foul?" He goes, "You want me to try to rein the guy up for that?" She's like, "Well, then you put you up."
They've got the one at Palm Beach Downs.
Yeah.
That comes out, and
Delta's got one too, I think.
Yeah, Delta, absolutely. I think it's a problem fairly unique to racing, right? You don't hear about this in baseball.
It's not the Marlins game, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, what other sports have water feature? I mean, the Tampa Rays have actual devil rays in the outfield, but it's purposely stocked. You know what I mean?
They
have a pool, and you can actually go pet them. Like they have obviously taken away the devil part of the ray, and so they take out the stingers or whatever. But they swim around. It's out in the outfield, and you can go up and like touch them, and it's a whole deal.
That's almost creepy. They'll end up like, what's his name? Steve. Who was the right? The nature, the Australian.
Oh, Steve Irwin. Yeah.
Irwin.
Yeah.
Didn't
he got stabbed by? I think it might have been a stingray. You might be right. Yeah. I mean, they've obviously, like I said, they've taken whatever precautions. Because I mean, little kids will go up and touch the top. I've touched the top of them.
If Tina was with me, she would tell the story of us being at Boynton, or we might have been at Delray Beach, and a flock of them. Is there a term for?
Oh, there has to be, right?
Right,
A school,
a pride.
I feel like a lot of fish are schools.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
but they're not really. They're not really fish. So whatever.
Yeah.
A gaggle. A pride,
a prickle. Isn't that what it is for porcupines? A prickle of porcupines.
Oh, that's great. Actually,
I think it is.
Is there a list? Is there a master list?
There's got to be. I'm looking it up. Group of devil rays.
it'll be probably a school. But so all of a sudden you see the tip of their ray flap come up.
Yeah.
Well, at a glance, you think to yourself, "That's a shark."
Yeah.
But an ray, and so I headed for the shore, and Tina is between the Tina's here, the ray is here, and I'm here, and so I'm closest to the shore. So Tina wanted to know why I didn't come towards her and protect her from whatever this was. So I've been hearing about this for ages. It's a problem, actually.
Did it advise that like big chunks of her life were going to be on this show?
It's a good question because
there had to have been at some point where she's just like, they didn't need to know that.
That's true. I had creating the Derby Barbie character. That was, we've sort of semi-retired the Derby Barbie character.
Uh-huh. It lived on Twitter though, right?
Oh, she left Twitter. That was part of it.
Okay.
She had enough of the Twitter, and so I still have Derby though. I renew it every year. It's too good. There's got to be something to do with it. If anybody wants to acquire DerbyBarbie.com,
where's Kevin Kirstein? There's got to be a tie-in Churchill promotion there.
Maybe. Well, I've got a couple of things. It's too late now because it's Derby 150. But I went to Palmisano. I went to the Prince and with a couple of ideas. Marketable. There's some products that you could absolutely. That was my background.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
the Prince.
It's the greatest nickname ever.
I know. It's funny. I refuse to use it because Gary's, he's a supervisor. I want to show him respect. But I had a funny story about Gary, Steve. At last year at Colonial, when Travis filled in the first week, I had to have a medical procedure done, and he messaged me. He goes, "God, the booth's a little hot." And I go, "That's weird. It's usually the coldest room up there." That, like, when I negotiated my contract, Jill was like, "Let's talk money." I was like, "Let's talk air conditioning," because I said I got priorities here. And so it's always been the coldest room up there. And so when I got up there, it's not cold, and so it was kind of hot. So, I got some fans, and Frank Hoff kept telling me, like, "Oh, we're going to get looked at. We're going to get looked at." So Arlington Million Day comes about, and I got to wear a suit and 9 yards to do TV. The second I close my door for the first race, coat off, shirt off, tie off, shoes off, because it's hot. And so I'm sitting there getting ready for like the fourth or the fifth race of the day. Again, in a scrubby under t-shirt, my trousers and socks. In walk Gary, out of Churchill brass. And they're fully decked out, suits, ties, jackets, the whole 9 yards.
Great.
And I was like, "Hello, I'm the face and voice of your racetrack. Nice to see you." I dabble as a homeless person. And so, but thank goodness, what's the gentleman who's the racing secretary? Ben? Churchill's racing secretary.
Ben Huffman.
Ben Huffman, yes. Ben was there, and he right away goes, "Boy, it's hot in here." And I was like, "Yes, it is, Ben. Thank you for noticing, and that's why I look like this." And so when Gary's walking out, I was like, "Hey, 5-minute heads up next time, please."
Okay.
So then, of course, Virginia Derby Day, Gary comes in just himself, same picture. And I said, "I'm fired after today. I mean, they fire you at the end of the season because it's seasonal work, And so I said, "So I understand, Gary, if I never come back." But Gary's been awesome. I love Gary.
Well, some of the facilities up in that area. I mean, I did the show from a rather awkward
from the open. I mean, the press box or the little.
Well, no, I was in that closet.
Oh, the old Equibase closet or whatever.
Which there was. If equipment had fallen on me, they'd still be looking for me.
Yeah.
But it was the only place where the port was live.
Yeah. And it's the oh no, I was thinking of a different one. You're in the one that says like broadcast studio, but it's just a storage room. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on
No windows. You were sitting on a box that like carried cable
exactly
for TV. Yeah,
You make do. You have to make do. Talk about the season, and here is the festival, as they call it.
Yeah, it felt like it snuck up on me this year. The first year I was so nervous for the big races here that like it was giving me stomach problems and stuff. So I try to just live in the present and worry about today, and not that. This year it kind of snuck up, and we've had a bit of weather lately. We're off the turf today, and as we're looking at it, it looks beautiful right now. But we got just drenched with rain.
Crazy.
It was
woke me up.
Yeah, me too. And so, but no, I mean, really, somebody told me we'd only been off the turf actually like 25 races. And sometimes we get a little heat for not drawing too far out in advance, but a big reason we do that is so Peter can see the weather and adjust accordingly in terms of scheduling turf races. So we've had 3 or 4 days where we were quote unquote off the turf, where we either didn't card any turf races or carded one. So we really haven't lost a ton of turf races. Even today, I think that it was carded 2 today, the 3rd and the 5th. So we didn't actually lose out on a ton. Both those races today kind of fell apart a little bit, but there's still 7 races that are going to be run over the main track. So that's been a little bit of a frustration, but field size has been better this year, obviously with the purse enhancement. That's contributed to that. We haven't really had the dominant connections as much, which I think is good. It's been a little bit chalky, but it's been competitively chalky, which I know sounds like a terrible,
qualifier,
a PR guy answer. But like there was one day it was like 6-1 by a head, and they were like 5-2 or 2-1 favorite. So I feel like that's been a little bit of a struggle, but it seems been a bunch of 3 to 5s jogging off by 10. So and there's been some good stories on track. I feel like we've got a couple really good apprentices this year. Charlie Marquez has been a good new addition this year as a jockey. Melissa Iorio, who's an apprentice, has made a huge leap forward from last year just in terms of her ability, and she's been winning a race a day, it seems like, lately. And so but otherwise, I mean, it's been a pretty typical Tampa season, at least in my memory.
You got a lot of bugs.
Maldonado. He's getting a lot of live mounts. He's riding for a lot of the good barns.
7 pounds for him, and you said Almadina. Almadina?
Who's Almadina? Is that Mary Ellis?
Yes.
It looks like Mary Angelis, but it's Mary Elise, I learned yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's from the Puerto Rico Jockey School. Rode a handful down there. Paul Bacon, who has Gallardo and Pablo here, who's one of the top ages. Paul was obviously a jockey here for a lot of years. I saw her yesterday, so it's funny.
She's terrific.
And so I met it's Mary Elise, but it looks like Mary Angelis, because I even asked her, I was like, how do I say the name? And she's like, Mary Elise. I'm like, you sure? There's a G in there. She was like, yeah. And so, yes, I think today will actually be her debut. She was supposed to ride one the other day.
How exciting! So, I'm glad I noticed it.
Yeah. So there's certainly been and what's funny too here is after this weekend the meet changes a little bit, right? We don't see Chad as much, we don't see Todd as much, we don't see Graham Motion as much. They all kind of start migrating north as soon as the Derby week cards, necessarily right away, but throughout this month. And I remember my first year, Maddie Rowland was beneficiary of that. Like all of a sudden she was winning. A lot of the big riders start heading out too as it all gets going, and Delaware and those Monmouth and stuff start kind of ramping up. And so the meet does change a little bit that last month, but yeah.
Well, you were not kidding. MARANGELYS.
Yeah. Mary Elise. Yeah.
Almadina. She's got
with 19 starts or something.
19 starts, exactly.
Boy, Paula knew her stats. She told me she's 1 for 19. I was like, okay, great.
Well, and she's got 3 seconds.
So does that show up on Equibase then? So I don't have to worry about saying her first career win, but a first North
American, because everything else is at
Carrero, or is that
Camarero? It's funny. She won in her second mount on January 1st.
Yeah,
and it's funny. We talked yesterday to Eddie Oliver.
Yeah.
Who has graded stakes.
Super Chow, right?
Super Chow. And pretty cool. I mean, she's gonna be up against it, maybe with losing the bug, which is coming any day. But this is a great venue to break in.
Yeah, you get turf and dirt and you get a fair number of days. I mean, it's 92.2 in the summer, and so there is a fair bit of opportunity. I mean, Sammy's obviously kind of been the kingpin here in recent years, and Gallardo usually is kind of right behind him. But as Danny Centeno is kind of riding a little bit less as he's gotten older, I think there's just more opportunities. And like I said, field size has been up. So there was a funny story about it for Iorio. She had her first career win was up at Delaware, but the horse got dinged to the fact, and so and she didn't win one for a couple months after that. So her first win ended up, I think, still being up there. But she was like, "Yeah, that was kind of crazy to win it and then have to win my first one again."
Poor thing. That's not pleasant. Just looking, actually, and this is the first look I've had in a while at the standings. Kathleen O'Connell.
Yeah. Oh, she got off to an insane start. Like she's kind of, I don't want to say regressed to the mean, but she's certainly kind of come back to the pack. She was hitting like 33%, and that was with she runs 2 in races a lot. I mean, she was just killing them early on in the season. She had built up a pretty big lead. I think she's still up by like 3 or 4 if I remember right. I haven't looked in a few days.
Yeah, let's drop it down. It looks like actually 7. Jose D'Angelo, is sitting second. Jerry Bennett. Juan Aragata.
Yeah, and Juan owns his too. So I mean, he was leading owner last year, and so he plays the claiming game as much as anybody, and his are always getting claimed, and he's always claiming. So it's kind of fun to watch his ones.
Claude Ray McGahee III is a garish 8 for 19.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple coming over.
And he's always. I mean, he's literally running only in maiden specials and allowances and stakes, right? Like he's not. He did 8,000 non-winner 3 going 6. And so it seems like a lot of them are Joseph Fallon type horses that are all super nice breed, well-bred horses, and he's all. I mean, since I've been here, he's always done pretty good. I remember I think it was him that had Scalding that beat Cody's Wish the first year in the Challenger, if I remember right.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I tell you who's a little bit surprising. Well, he hasn't started many horses. I was looking for Arnaud Delacour's name.
Yeah, he hasn't run.
He's only run 2 dozen.
Yeah, he's here. I mean,
he's right there.
Yeah.
He's the first barn, right?
I thought Bennett was the first one right there, but
okay.
maybe. But he's in the vicinity for sure. Yeah, and he's out most mornings. Yeah, no, just hasn't been running a ton this year.
Then you got the ship-ins. Bill Morey, who wins everywhere. He's 7 for 30.
He was, because it's funny, he's messaged me a couple. I'm at the driving range if you want to come over. I was like, I live 40 minutes from the track. I'm not spinning over for a quick bucket. But he's obviously done super good. But he's just, my guess is he wants mostly turf horse down here. But he's run a lot of dirt ones too, so I shouldn't say that because he's up, obviously up a turf way.
Well, and on the jockey front, wider glance. Sammy Camacho.
Yeah. I mean, Sammy's he's always gonna win here. I feel like.
Wow, Camacho and Gallardo have literally a 30-win lead over everybody.
And what's crazy is like with Sammy, it doesn't seem like he has like 4 and 5 win days. Like that. He just seems to win 2 a lot, and eventually they just start at him, and he rides more races, I think, than most. But I don't know. This year, it seems like there's been a few races where he's not riding, and I think he had a short vacation for a couple of days, so he was kind of quiet there for a minute. But he's the guy here.
You've got one of my favorites, who's won a couple of races in our Angel Arroyo, who's healthy and a good winner.
Yeah, there's a whole, like you said, after you get out of the top couple. I mean, between Pablo and Angel and who I'm trying to think of, Tista, Charlie Marquez, I think, is kind of at it. Astonon still winning races, and so I mean, there's a real good middle ground here of run there. I feel like I haven't looked at these few days. I feel like there's a huge glut of them between like 20 or 21 wins and 13 wins on the end that are in that kind of. Sam Marin's another one. He gets a lot of rides for Gerald Bennett and stuff, and is inching towards 5,000. He's at 49.98, but he's pretty much only riding for his wife now.
I was going to say,
we're on 5,000 watch for him. I've gotten riders 5,000 to his
good one.
Yeah. Camden, River Downs. Yeah,
to be
2,000.
Exactly.
I'll never forget because the first year I was there, Perry was injured, and I didn't know a lot about River when I got the job. And I remember when he was coming back for the second year, I was talking to him. I was like, "So you guys think Edgar O'Connor's going to win the title?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Perry's back." I go, "What do you mean Perry's back? Edgar won 100 last year." And everybody's like, "Yeah, Perry's going to the title." Sure enough, he completely dominated him.
And he was only 68. That's what's amazing.
Because his wife was he would come walking out every time he'd win, and it was
Amazing.
Yeah,
Just incredible.
Cycle thing. That was like a year after I left, I think, there, where he crashed the motorcycle and still won 3. There's some of those guys that like to tell you, like, the minute I get off a horse, I'll never be able to get back on. And I've heard from trainers and outriders and stuff. They're like, I can't get off because I never be able to get on if I do.
It just he. I mean, we got Tony Black. If he wanted to, he could still do it at 70. But Oots is just for him to take as many calls as he does. Looking to the.
I haven't heard anything. The rumor was not coming. Has that been confirmed?
Ooh.
So I don't want to. I mean, I just said that. So, but try to ask about that because I was told that that was maybe the case. Is now. I heard it from somebody, but I heard it from pretty good source. So.
I will find out.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we will all know in 4 or 5
horses.
Because I just interviewed Whit Beckman on the show on my podcast for today's episode on Monday, and he was driving back from Oakland, and it's always fun, like talking to his career, and they're doing the driving all over hell and back, and he's got these 2 horses kind of on the trail with Anna Marie, and see if from last week down south don't end up here.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't appear that. Well, certainly you're not getting. Pletcher and either one, and I think that answer is no. I'll tell you, there's a horse that I think people better good money.
Yeah. He broke his maiden here, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. And is apparently doing fabulous.
Yeah.
And he would open up the overnight and who is this? This may be a serious player, and he's at a square number. And then you got the 2 potential runners. I had you talk about having guests. I had Clement. He didn't say a word about Otello, and then hours later, tells Dave Grenning that we may enter Otello. So if Drip does not come, that would and Otello does, it would still leave a field of 8 unless there's any.
Yeah, I have not heard or seen too much. I saw the stakes coordinator last week. For the 2 Sam Davises and the 2 Tampa Derbies before, it's only been full fields, and and I know that we're kind of working against here, so which is funny because it's like it doesn't seem like there's any kind of world beater show, but I think we've also had a couple horses who are maybe local types that were allowance types or small stakes placers that we're trying to kind of just take a shot.
Well, I mean, this is from a timing standpoint, and
you got time for another. I mean, we saw it with Tappa Trace last year, right? Like
exactly.
He went straight to the bluegrass to do pretty good, and right after his win here, if I remember correctly, I remember he didn't run very good, so it kind of killed his Derby price. But he would have been 8 to 1, something like that. Instead, he went off at 35 to 1.
Well, and were you here when Danza won?
No. Classic Causeway and Tappa Trice, the only 2 I've called for the Derby. Danza was Arkansas Derby. Wasn't he?
There was Pletcher won here with
Tacitus?
No, Pletcher won with somebody here and then didn't, and then trained him up.
Trying to remember the.
Absolutely. Well, well, that's interesting.
My third.
This only your third.
Yeah, last one, which was 2021.
This is strange. I could have sworn, because Colonial, you said
Colonial the first year.
Okay.
I did Grants Pass in the pandemic year, and then I got this job here next year. But I didn't start till the fall of 21.
Okay. Yeah. I would have thought I would have taken the over. I for whatever reason. I mean,
what was weird is I got the job about 6 months before I started, because I got the job in May. In fact, they announced it on my birthday. It was May of 2021, but I didn't really start till I did the 2 summer days, but I didn't really start till 6 months later, November. So there was a long build up.
I absolutely would have thought Destin.
Oh yeah, Destin.
That right?
Destin.
Destin. that he did not. Simply trained up.
Gotcha,
7 weeks, right?
Won the Breeders' Cup Marathon, though, right?
And got beat like this got beat
Belmont.
In the
Belmont.
That's
right.
It killed me. That was horrific. I got a picture of those guys. Randy Goulat and it was Goulat, Steve Marshall, and Aaron Wellman, I mean,
because Destin was Eclipse, right?
Yeah, somehow they were smiling. I can tell you officially, Drip will not enter, and they're gonna actually. I
feel better. I don't want to be in the news breaking business.
Well,
so it's like but then.
You
asked.
I am in the news breaking business.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And over the years, no Drip, and
which is a bummer.
It is, because he's exciting.
Yeah.
They're going to take their time a little bit with him. They're not going to press forward right now. They're in fact, if they don't mind, and later in the spring and summer.
There you go.
Season. It appears that Drip will not push for a Derby opportunity.
Well, there's still plenty of Derby opportunities of other Derbies, right? I mean, if you get a good 3-year-old, I always think of those West Virginia, like Brad Cox's, where he'll have horses that'll go rattle off the Ohio Derby or the West Virginia Derby or the Oklahoma Derby, and it's like you look at the end of the year, the horse made 7 or something. Yeah, I mean, super.
One of my favorites at this time of year is trying to figure out which of the Asmussen runners will be West Virginia
Derby horse. Yeah. His Red Route one. Yeah.
Because you know, early on in like December, January, February, they're like a deck of cards, and you don't know which one is going to. It's
a good game, like was this an Asmussen horse or not? It's 50-50 chance, right? The Beamy Award was an Asmussen horse.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's happened to Beamy Award?
He's a trail horse in Tennessee, and then he got claimed again, and then Jason Barkley claimed him last, and I don't think ever ran him, or maybe ran him once, and he said he just wasn't really loving life as a race horse, and so they sold him. He's a trail horse in Tennessee. So, like his namesake, he likes to walk.
Well, the naming of horses is fraught. It's when you name them after someone, you're taking a shot.
Yeah, I interviewed Rich Averill on my show a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, our Harper Rose is his daughter.
Yeah, and
I had asked him, I said, have you ever named one like after? Because I was told for somebody important to you, unless you're pretty sure it's going to be a star.
Exactly.
And he was like, oh yeah. He started talking, telling one of the stories of it. But they named after Miramati was like $1 million, Zidane horse or something, and
that's not working.
Yeah, but Cripe Boss was a Baffert horse, I think. Pegram, I think,
solid.
Yeah, he was right.
He was solid. The Joe Bessiger named one for me, which was nice.
Yeah,
and he's won 3 times. He just kind of
be nice. Like I'm like, you know what? That's never get anyway.
Graham, Mrs. Mayflower, which was their bakery, and around Great Neck, and she ended up being a terrific polo pony.
Oh, there you go. It's so. I was explaining to somebody the other day, a friend who's not involved in racing. She's like, what do they do when they're done retiring? I was like, let me tell you the list of careers that they, and things you wouldn't think about. And, it's actually a really neat part of the sport. Is kind of hearing and seeing those stories, and I certainly would love to kind of look up where we're being. I mean, the first horse we ever owned was a horse named Eduardo, and my uncle wanted to name the horse Ed. He thought that would be real hilarious. To just have a horse named Ed. Hockey club wouldn't do it, so I go, they wouldn't accept Ed as a name. I'd take it, I think. No. And so I go, what do you want to do? And he goes, just keep adding D's. So if you go look at the submit, you find which names were denied and stuff. It's literally ED, EDD, EDDD, up to like 5 D's. It's just going to be Eds. So finally we went with Eduardo. But I would have loved to have kind of know. I mean, he got it from us, and he went through the claiming ladder 100 times. It'd be cool to where, I mean, Eduardo would have been 20-something by now, so not sure. But, yeah, Eduardo. $6,000 at the Washington sale. I'm actually going to go to the Ocala sale for the first time this week. Tuesday.
I'll see you there. We'll be broadcast and then on to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, the NHC's next week. I talked, Grunder was out for Sam Davis Day. And I always joke, I would love to have him come out on that first day, the first race, and go, welcome to the horse players at the National Handicapping, and because I associate that, because he was always the first one that they would play in their groove, and I used to love hearing him that. I wish he would come out and do that.
He's just
hanging out, yeah. He goes fishing a lot. He always comes out for the big days. He comes out Sam Davis and Tampa Derby Day, which is funny. I remember thinking, I was like, why wouldn't you want to come out on like a Wednesday when you can kind of hang out and if there's no crowd? But no, he's seen enough 5,000 claimers in his life. So he wants to see the good ones. He's though. He's just such a sweet guy, and everybody kind of lights up when he comes back, which is really, really cool.
A lot of people, he was their favorite because he, in that street sense.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Tampa Bay Derby.
Any given Saturday.
I was here. It was my first one. It was my first day here ever.
Okay.
And actually, you know what? I should maybe check that because we did come here when we run Kicking and Screaming here.
Okay.
Rosemary Hillmeister Jr.
Rosemary Hillmeister Jr. It's so funny. There are certain names that I only hear in his voice. They come into the gate and it's just hard to not go, Baron Horseman, Mr. Antonio Gallardo, but that's the thing, I still hear James McElhaney and those guys at Woodbine's voice and Dan Loisel. Jim McElhaney, they're at the post. And there's just certain names you associate with certain voices,
The landscape, the race calling landscape has had it's been some morphing, right?
Well, there was Keith Jones and John Curran and Durkin and all those guys kind of retired in a little 4 or 5 year window, and so there was kind of no choice but to kind of be. It's been nice as there's actually been a couple of new voices and faces and younger. Because when I first broke in, I would get emails all the time. People I want to be an announcer. How do I do it? And now you just don't. There's literally just and so. I think it's good that we're getting a little bit of turnover in terms of some younger folks doing it, just because it is good to have fresh voices and new folks, and it's nice seeing my peers get to call. I'm friends with all the guys that call all the, which is neat to see. I broke out. Travis and I started weeks apart, and so it's really cool to he gets to call the Kentucky Derby every year. It's neat.
There's also been some shifting into some. I won't say more high profile roles, but Tony Callow at Turfway is getting exposed to a wider audience.
100%, which is fun. West Coast guy, and he was because I was for years, and Finger Lakes this past fall, and it was shortly before they announced the Turfway thing, and so it was really cool because it's not easy to kind of make a go of this if you don't have year-round or close to year-round work. And especially as we've gone 8 weeks to 4 day weeks to 3 day weeks, we're paid per day. And so it's and like you said, he's been there at Finger Lakes, God, since when did Ross stop? Like 06 or something, 07?
You know what? I wouldn't have. I would have missed that, but I guess so.
And so, no, I think it's been really cool for Tony to get that game. And you can, at least personally, I think you can tell there's just a little more pep in his step in the call, which is awesome to hear. Like, and I was talking to Peter Berube, our GM, about that recently. Just like when you work somewhere year round, it's real hard to kind of keep that freshness about and the intent. I notice a lot of friends who work at year-round tracks, like they're passionate a little bit, I think, because it becomes a job instead of like something that's really fun. And so like I have the perfect schedule. I have 2 months after this and 2 months after break. I never feel burned out about race calling. At least I haven't till the last several years.
Well, and that same problem is true of the horse players.
But you got to make living,
You do.
I take a vacation after Colonial every year. I'd shut off Twitter. I've never seen a race at Kentucky Downs, legitimately, in the last 5 years. I never want, and I think you have to take breaks. And as horse players, obviously it feels counterintuitive, especially like my podcast is PR, right? Like I'm promoting Twin Spires and this and that. You need to take breaks. Because you just, it's so easy to get burned out, and when you get burned out, I think you stop doing the actual work that maybe can give you some kind of an edge. And so,
well, you've been holding the edge for an extended period, and your health obviously is excellent.
Better,
yeah. Well, you. What you've done is really admirable, and plus you encourage others, and you've got such a great attitude, and are just an absolute asset to the whole game. And
I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say.
Not at all. My pleasure. Jason Beam, everybody, Beamy Award, and
we'll do it again in a few months up in Virginia, right?
Colonial, exactly right. Well, then you can stop by at
well, I'm going to introduce Beamy Bloodstock on Tuesday, so we'll big future. Basically, I'm just going to try to get rich people to give me money, and I take 10% of it. That's how you be a Bloodstock agent, right? Yes. Oh, there's like 50 of them out there that are so mad I said that.
No, that's all right. That's okay. They all got into it the same way too.
I told Gary Fenton, I said, Gary, give me some of that little red feather money. I'll spend it wise.
We'll be watching.
Athletes, not pedigree. That's my angle.
Jason Beam, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Jace. Let's take our only break. We got to come back. We're going to go to Turfway. Speaking of Turfway, Caitlin Free is going to join us.
She's my co-host at Colonial.
That's true. I hadn't thought it. Do you want to wait for Caitlin? All right, go do changes. All right, she'll be on here momentarily. More Jason Beam, everybody, and then Seth. Speaking of partners, back after this.
The state of Pennsylvania has the best breeders program in the entire United States.
When you buy a yearling, it's a little bit like buying a lottery ticket. And we are trying to provide a lottery ticket that the likelihood is to hit the jackpot.
Joe Empire wins the Arkansas Derby and wins at Clare.
It's a ball finish. Pennsylvania and the PHBA have the best state program in the country, bar none.
The winner, Uncle Heavy. He's a 3-year-old bred in Pennsylvania.
Who you bet?
How about an app created specifically for horse racing? NYRA Bet. We specialize in busting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions, tips from racing experts. Bet all day nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horsing with NYRA Bets. $200 deposit match with promo Steve200. Visit NYRABets.com for details.
The Ponds Country Life and Maryland Farms are the place for breeding and racing in the Mid-Atlantic. Country Life is nationally recognized for making stallions and curly Mid-Atlantic's leading first and second crop sires, Divining Rod by Tappan and Most by Warfront, as well as Frisian Fire. The mile training track completes the facilities from the folding barn to the racetrack. Join the excitement of racing with Country Life Farm. Partnerships can take you from beginning to...
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horsing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner.
UA-RTIP.org today.
Why, in the past decade, has BRL Equine become the premier equine supplement company in the industry? Because we spend millions in research and development before we ever put out a product. Because we use only FDA-supervised facilities to manufacture for us. Because what we say is in them is in them. Because they work. Because if you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. And because top trainers and veterinarians in thoroughbred racing, standardbred racing, 3-day eventing, and barrel racing all trust in BRL Equine. HA, Unlock, Bleeder Shield, and EPO Equine can contact me, Joseph Volante, 215-501-6880.
Horsebills.com is a cost-effective, time-saving paperless revolution. Vendors are able to generate electronic invoices for owners and other vendors who can pay through Horsebills.com for just 50 cents. Turn hours of work in a minute to use site. Have our team take over your bookkeeping or continue to pay only our low monthly subscription fee. Check out our video tutorial on the Horsebills.com YouTube channel and get started today for free. Horsebills.com. Toll-free number 888-938-4643.
This is At the Races with Steve Byk.
We're back. Thanks to Jason for stopping by. And we always have kind of a meandering conversation. We hit a variety of topics. We did not get a dime push in, but you know that there'll be a Chris Knows visit, tonight or Friday or some point, guaranteed. If you missed any portion of that, I was just about to, per Whit Beckman now, Drip will not enter the Tampa Bay Derby, okay? And I can give you a quote from Whit. He said, we're going to pass. He's fine, but feel like he needs more time between starts, and that he's too nice to force anything. And so they'll wait. And he won February 15th. Let me see. Hold on. He won on February, I've got the PPs here somewhere, February 17th, and broke the maiden at Fairgrounds. So it's 3 weeks and might turn up somewhere else down the road yet, but no Drip for Saturday. All right. Thanks to Jason is the one who first suggested that from the racing office. Let's get Caitlin Free in here. And of course, as Jason, I'm glad he mentioned it too. Caitlin's presence at Colonial, and he had to go do the changes, Caitlin. Otherwise, Beanie would have sat in with you.
Yes, he is a wonderful person to work with every single day at Colonial, and I've known Jason for years, and that was really the first time we actually got to work together. So doing Colonial with him has, been great.
Well, not far off. It's hard to believe. But,
no.
Once you get to this juncture, you start to. You start in on these March and April, the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Forget it. You'll be you'll be back at New Kent in no time.
That is for sure, being thrust into Derby time, and then that meet will go quickly, I feel like, and then it's summer and it's really hot in New Kent, so that's kind of the story of it.
Well, let's talk the story from today and the Battaglia, and it the obvious players ended up running 1-2. We got some interesting follow-up from Nicole on the pages. In fact, the lead story at DRF about what is going to happen with Encino and with Epic Ride as next opportunities. But talk about Saturday before anything else.
I thought it was a very interesting race. And I talked to John Ennis after the fact, and he made what I thought was a kind of a key point. This is not a race where they carry the same amount of weights. I know some 3-year-old races they do, some 3-year-old races they don't. Epic Ride had to give Encino 6 pounds. And that's a decent amount for a 3-year-old horse. And I've kind of heard sometimes the rule of thumb is when they're deadlocked that it's 4 to 5 pounds per length, which would kind of make sense. He lost by about a length. And I mean, he looked spectacular in the flesh. And I thought he ran really, really well, but I think maybe the weight had a little bit with it. So John Ennis just kind of brought that up as a really good point. And then the horse is going to go on to the bluegrass. I think there's a chance that, he could be a little bit better on dirt anyway. So I thought that was really interesting. But I thought that Encino ran huge coming from, outside a little bit wide off the pace the way he did. This is a horse that keeps continuing to get better. I still think, he's maybe a little bit on the immature side, and, throwing him into a race like the Kentucky Derby could be a little much. But, I mean, if he earns his way, then he earns his way. So we'll see what's next for the both of them. But I thought it was a very exciting race that there weren't really too many surprises.
No, and from a figure standpoint, the race came back pretty much in line with most of the 50-point type Derby prep races, and there were, in this case, was it a 50 or was it a 20? It was a 20.
It was a 20 this time, and then the Ruby's 100.
The Ruby's the 100, and now we'll see about both of them, because Tessa Walden, Brad Cox's assistant, kind of hinted, it seemed, to Nicole Russo that they might very well head to the dirt next. So, and we'll see what Ennis said. He's leaning toward the bluegrass. So, got a whole fresh set of favor for the Ruby.
Surprised me. Kevin Kersey and I were talking about that even before the race ran, that there was, a chance that we were going to be getting a lot of fresh faces for the Ruby, horses coming from Oaklawn or Fairgrounds that maybe don't want to run the remainder of preps that are going to kind of come our way, or horses, that are potentially looking to not use the bluegrass but still want to be in Kentucky. So definitely we'll see one or two maybe come out from the Battaglia, but not quite sure it's going to be the top two.
Well, and we know Pletcher considering Moonlight, as well as Adair Manor having seemingly bypassing Tampa and Adair Manor. So Pletcher might end up being the lead engine on the Jeff Rubin. So we'll be watching some of those and see what field. But in the meantime, let's look ahead. Let me plot the Turfway. Where's my Turfway PPs? Tampa has become handicapping central, and it started big in Hong Kong today. You and Seth have to follow up Dick Powell. Dick hit with a nice pick 3 at Happy Valley. So
going to be a little bit of a tough act to follow for sure.
Right. What do you got?
Definitely an interesting card tonight. All races except for 2 of them are maiden races. Some of the maiden claims, some of them maiden special weights. So I think this card is obviously going to be really challenging. And I'm a little disappointed. 2 horses that I really, really liked today came out. I was really excited about Positive Message in race 3. She was 15-1 coming out of the Rick Dutrow barn, had just moved barns. And then Actually, it was race 5. Piece them for Kelsey Danner is out, much to my chagrin. So had to regroup a little bit this morning and kind of find a little bit of others. But in race number 3, I still did like a price. I don't necessarily trust some of the favorites in this race. Kind of seeing a lot of Sherbert Fountain. She's dropping down a lot in class. Same story with English, and they've just both kind of let me down a couple of times. So I looked elsewhere, and I thought the 2 Default for Carlo Vaccaresa shipping up was kind of interesting. He's had this horse at Fairgrounds. You know, he probably has had options to run this horse in Florida. So bringing this horse up here makes me kind of wonder if this horse is maybe needing a little bit more cooler weather type, or he's wanting to get the horse on the Sapita. Like I said, he can always bring this horse to Florida. So I'm wondering if maybe this is a little bit more of a weather type of thing. I don't know either way. That's just kind of maybe the way I'm looking at it. And I mean, this horse is taking a big class drop in here.
And I unfortunately can't find my sheet that has the hold on, bear with me 1 second, because
you're good.
I keep notes on these, and I'm a big fan of the Daily Racing Forms quick sheets, and I know I have it, and yet it is not. I've got the PPs for the 5th. That was the race, and you mentioned Peaceful Kingdom coming out. That was the set of PPs that I was intrigued by, but I want to write down. I guess I'll just have to write down your plays, so that I can, so that I can tweet them out at night when they come through. So 3rd race. What number?
The 2 Default for Vaccaresa. That's the one definitely interested in after this one I liked, because I feel like this race definitely you're kind of looking for a price in here with some suspect 1 and 2 choices.
All right. So that's the 3rd. What else?
Race 5. I'm going to look to the 2 Side B for Cherie DeVoe, 2nd-time starter. Usually her horses fire pretty well as 2nd-time starters. Horse draws an inside gate versus, the wide gate that this horse had last time out. Kind of broke a little bit awkwardly, but still ran on, I thought, for a really nice 3rd behind Fantastical. Sanctify, who was 2nd on the race, also back in here. But her horses really seem to get better after having a start under the belt, and the Axeman going to get aboard. So definitely going to give that one a shot in there.
4-1, Side B. A quick note, a couple of notes about this field, because this is a group that that has some starts, and there's only, I think, just the one firster, right? The Thomas, the Jonathan Thomas, the Catholic boy that he sends out for Bob LaPenta, which is appropriate, out of a Munnings mare. Faith Understood. Darren Miller for the Hamiltons, Silverton Hill, 2nd-time starter, handed over 8-1, and I think well worth including in here.
For sure.
Right?
Ran really, really well last time out, and was kind of almost flying late while everybody was stopping. And I mean, I was at 46-1.
Yeah,
definitely was getting home.
Yeah, we're not going to get that here, but Temple City filly out of a Great Notion mare, homebred of Silverton Hills. So that's my interest. But I agree with Cherie too. That's a Blue Heaven homebred, 4-1, the English Channel filly Side B. What else you got?
Kind of looked at race number 8, a couple of scratches in there, the also eligible as well as the 3 and the 4, which I don't really think impact too much. I think there's a chance there's going to be a really hot pace in here. There's a lot of horses that are kind of need the lead types, or that at least want to be close. So I think it's going to set up for a horse coming from off the pace. So I looked with the 6, Jova, for the Cipriana Contreras barn. Has had 2, I thought, pretty good races back in December and January, where just kind of didn't have enough pace to run at, but was still cutting the gap late and really getting there when they got to the wire to only be beat by a couple lengths. So if Tyler Crowder can have this one a little bit closer, but still have that pace develop, I think this horse has a big chance.
Nice. Jova, the 6 in the 8th. There it is. The Wednesday action, as we do, Turfway. Let me look ahead with you as well to the Big Daddy. That's the feature on Saturday night, and going to go as the 7th race, 8:55 Pope. Good to see the return, the seasonal debut for Whit Stinson. And Hear My Song comes back and was on hand when he won the Commonwealth at Keeneland last spring, which was just unbelievable. Then there was a little bit of a concern at Churchill when he ran in the Grade 1. He pulled up bad, but he ended up being fine and just needed a little quick kick out. And here he is starting his 6-year-old season with Alex Achard aboard. You got a few nice players in here. How about a debut at Turfway for Josie Carroll and Ellen J. Foxwoods with Striker as well. This one's been away since July of last year. Also a 6-year-old seasonal debut. This is a good group.
This is a really good group. I'm really excited for this race. Eyewitness, we haven't seen in a while, but is unbeaten here in 2 starts. Won the Animal Kingdom on Jeff Ruby Day, as well as breaking the maiden here in impressive fashion. It's been on the turf since then. Of course, we have Shefflin, morning line favorite in here. Our shot is coming in for the John Terranova barn, trying the surface. Antares. Both of those, actually, Antares must have been a private purchase. He's with Mike Maker now. Actually, it says he was sold in a sale. So that's interesting. That's something new that I didn't see. But Shefflin still with the Maury barn coming in. Both of those have been 2 really star horses that have been unbeaten so far this meet. So excited to see them making their stakes debut. But Hear My Song. This is a war horse. He's kind of really done it all. He's ran 2nd and 6th in this race. He has the form here at Turfway. He likes the surface a lot. But he's a horse that can come from a little bit off the pace, but he kind of has that tactical speed if necessary. And there's going to be, I would say, a decent amount of speed in this race. Really no surprise with that based on the distance of the 6 furlongs. But there's some horses in here that really have, some get up and go early. So I think it really sets up for a horse like him, potentially a horse like Striker that's going to be coming from off the pace. The Word horse off of the freshening. Eyewitness is going to be rolling. So this is going to be a really interesting type of a stakes race here. And the stakes races really haven't disappointed here yet this season. They've turned up really, really strong. So definitely excited to see some making their seasonal debut in this race.
Well, and Shefflin, we tweeted about after that allowance win. He has been, close to perfect. Only the near miss in that December 25th start, his first on synthetic, and he got beat a half length by Graphic Detail. But then subsequently, another pair of buyers. He's a Cantheros. And could be really, and also doesn't feel like a horse that will be confined to synthetic assignments either. From a breeding standpoint, he's certainly bred to main track as well. Cantheros out of a quality road mare. Shefflin, absolutely, 4-year watch. Gelding going to be around. It's the Big Daddy and the feature. And these have been great. The stakes calendar, the stakes schedule has been really good. These cards we say every week, well worth your time and attention. Caitlin, as always, I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too, and thank you so much. Going to be on site at Turfway a lot in the next few weeks with some big races coming up. So I'll be there a lot of the week today and pretty much all week next week.
Excellent. And everybody can look for you. We will talk next Wednesday.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Steve.
Caitlin Free, everybody, and has done really terrific work. I don't know what I did with my. I have no idea what I did with my quick sheet. I've got here's the Tampa, here's Gulfstream, here's Fairgrounds, and the one I do first every week is missing in action. Unbelievable. Oh, let me do this while I got you. And Seth is going to join us momentarily. I promised you the Parks results from yesterday, and they had the two stakes, the two mile 70s, and there was also a crazy maiden result. Eddie W. breaks the maiden for Steve Krebs. A Peace and Justice gelding, making a fourth career start, and came from out of it at 35-1. Longest shot on the board. There were two other firsters that were double digits, but they weren't 35-1. And the amusingly named Bada Boom Racing. Eddie W. got the late action going at Parks yesterday, $73.20. Then the two stakes. Jean Marie as the favorite. She was vying for favoritism with Chad Brown's Experimental, and went slightly favored, and then was able to wire the field under Michael Sanchez. Jean Marie, a Speightster filly, a homebred, Cash's King, and LC Racing, and Butchie Reed. Last seen last July. So this is a very good 3-year-old debut, and becomes a stake winner of the main line. And then in the City of Brotherly Love, you had a nice price here. Lonesome Boy and trainer Hugo Padilla, 10-1, almost 11-1, 23-40. Beating Guinare, who was 4-5 and chased, but just wasn't getting to Lonesome Boy. Lonesome Boy basically gave Guinare the slip and built up a lead. It was too good. Adam Bowman aboard. And Lonesome Boy, from a fig standpoint, Lonesome Boy was okay. And, Guinare had that strong fig and with kind of a glaring, that 88 buyer in the allowance win in November, then won the spectacular bid against just two others. So, everybody gravitated there, but Lonesome Boy, not so bad from a fig standpoint, and a winner. Yeah. I didn't. I imagine that. In fact, I more than imagine that the pick 4 had to be big. So Seth.
I'm here.
Yeah. Well, you're okay. I couldn't tell. You're way down low, and wasn't sure if I heard you in the background or not.
Breathing heavily.
No, Brian, he's I barely can hear him. So better.
I will test.
Yeah, that's better. Not 100%, but it's better. Seth Merrow joining us, and I'm sure you'd love to be at Tampa, one of your favorite places.
Absolutely. I told you last week when you said you were going over. I said I'm envious because it's been a while since I've been over, but it is one of my favorite tracks. And the big day coming up, who was I talking to? Dave Joseph. I was standing in the winter circle. We were just kind of shooting the breeze, and I said it was some years back when I'm Tampa Bay Derby Day. I'm down on the bottom floor. I'm just regular folks looking up at a monitor watching one of the races, and I realized standing in front of me, Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Oh, my friend Ray, who hangs out out at Payson Park all the time, and was as I mean, first of all, people may not know that he was a jockey. He absolutely loved the track. He loved being around the game, and Ray said he was as sweet a guy, nice to everybody, and taken young.
Yeah, no question about it. Like they say, he was just standing at the track, standing with the regular folks, and I don't think a lot of people recognized him even, but he was just there enjoying the races. And I think he had a place up by Ocala, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I think, you know what? I think I have heard that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely miss Tampa. It was fun listening to Jason earlier. He's been doing a great job down there since he jumped in. I used to like to listen to Rich, though, because whenever I heard his voice, I would think T-shirt and shorts, because that's what I'm wearing when I'm at the track down there. And so it was fun to listen to him. But Jason's been doing a great job since he's jumped in down there. And, yeah, I have to get over there at some point because it's a lot of fun. But we had a lot of last weekend down at Gulfstream. Got really nice feedback from the live programming. Being handicap support loose on the lead edition on Saturday morning. We've done it now 2 or 3 times, I think, our visits down there. And then I think gave out some good info. You like Pounce. Didn't like the post position necessarily, but Pounce gets it done at a little bit of a price. And then you definitely gave a big push on Bo Yates and said you have to watch everything he's sending out. And so Fiona's Magic at $20, upsetting the Devona Dale. So you made a couple of nice calls during the morning, those and a couple others as well. So it was fun.
No, we had a good day. We had a little bit of bad luck in that got beaten the pick 5, pick 4, the early one. The other Pletcher, it really wasn't the other Pletcher. It was the shorter priced Pletcher. That Quality G beat us at the wire, which was really hurt. I mean, that was a $2,700 beat, which sucked. But like you said, the couple of there were individual winners that you could key off of, and I for some reason people just because things went south in the feature with the pre-scratches and then what happened obviously right pre-race that I mean just nobody could even believe. The rest of the day was terrific, and there were plenty of if it wasn't all big priced winners, there were horses underneath that you could have included and made scores. The racing was exciting. You had a bunch of terrific finishes. You had that Gulfstream mile where Devona and that performance to me and Steel Sunshine is Thumbarumba. That was good a race as you're going to see. You mentioned Pounce. I mean, she benefited from moving in 3 stalls and her rally. We'll talk to Mark Cassie up at Ocala next week and find out what's next for her. She's a serious horse. I thought 14 races is a little much for me. I wish we would pare back on that front, Seth, but I thought it was a really fun day overall.
Yeah, that has become kind of a 21st century thing on big days at various tracks. The morning sun and things wind up at 6:30 or so. You're right. That makes for an awfully long day. But I totally agree with what you said. Yeah, the big race, the Fountain of Youth kind of fell a scratch, and then the late scratch, and Dornock held up his end, and so he still remains a little bit interesting. Hard to know what to make of the race after it kind of fell apart a little bit, though. But yeah, the undercard was fabulous, and I was kind of running back and forth throughout the afternoon to drop in our Sunday show. And Fiona's Magic, as I say, you mentioned Bo Yates, a couple of paragraphs from him tape, and that was fun. He was obviously thrilled with the upset in the Devona Dale at again $20. Caught up with Rich Averill when our Callie Kim won the Ferry. Realized it. I did a little interview with him and asked about the name. It's Duke Matisse's wife, the horse is named her, which I didn't realize. So that was fun as well. And I would think, a nice win for our Callie Kim. going a little bit of a marathon distance. I expect see her up in New York. And as you say, Steel Sunshine, the kind of race, and talked to Bobby DeBone after the race, and he said, if you're a horse race, you can't appreciate that. You're in the wrong sport. It was an absolute ding-dong battle. Watching live, I thought Steel Sunshine had it. I thought, I don't know. I think Cumber Rump might have it. And it was one of those where they played the riff, and every time the crowd would, oh, and eventually it came out to be Steel Sunshine by just a nudge there. But that was a great battle. And what is a kind of a between those two, perhaps.
Yeah.
Manuel looked good for Todd Pletcher and caught up with Michael Dove after the win by Chili Flag. And I asked him what he thought. Belmont Stakes in Saratoga, and he was clearly elated with that, as I think everybody seems to be. So coming up sooner rather than later with the news in New York. So this week, the artist rendering of Belmont Park, which
what'd you think?
I think it's exciting. I think it's going to make the green space a lot more, and I think it's going to be nice. And I think they're into the 21st century facility as far as and the amenities and whatnot. I think it looks good to me.
Talk to David Curley. Details of the timeline as well. So it is. I don't understand why anybody would take issue with the design. We're in an era that sort of guarantees outrage about every single topic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what is offered up. Very disheartening.
Yeah, so it's a fun game again. I'm envious of you this weekend. As your old team, just similar to last year, kind of stepping up to the head of the class. So it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks to see if somebody can kind of step out the shadows a little bit. As I say, I'm interested to see if Mr. can kind of validate what he did in that last race where he put in a big number. The rest of his resume doesn't really point to that, but he can put a couple together. He gets good at the right time. Determine if this will use it. That's the right.
Before we talk some handicapping, I've got to pass this along, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll get a friend or seven. Larry Letterman has passed after a long and challenging, obviously, battle with cancer that he held at bay for an extended period, and I'm not sure where I was a few weeks ago, and somebody passed along. He said Larry Letterman is in hospice care, and a guy that is just beloved. It's funny because Jason and I were just talking. We were listening. We were just talking about race calling, and Letterman was fun and could step in anywhere and flat racing, standardbred. He could do anything, and brought mirth and just so easy to listen to, and a guy that is going to be so missed. Really sad to hear this news. Larry Letterman.
Yeah, that is as you alluded to. I'm sure he'll get plenty of people will be able to memorialize him in a proper way.
Yeah. Well, Frank Miramati comes to mind immediately. I'm seeing this news from Gabe Pruitt, but certainly better known, obviously, for standardbred, but called plenty of flat races and is just as well known. Maybe not to younger audiences, to younger thoroughbred players and fans, but wow. It's a sad way to end the day. All right, Seth, let's pick up spirits, and Caitlin gave everybody some winners tonight. Hopefully, Dick Powell got us rolling today with a very nice pick 3 at Happy Valley. So, what are we looking at with you?
I'll do the pick 4 at Tampa. See if I can put 2 in a row and see if I can get a little more value. I mean, it was nice last week. We ran second in a couple. Would have juiced things up. Beginning with like last like 3 by 4 by 2 by 4 in here. So surf racing in this sequence, so that's I could have some scratches. So I have a 6 claimers going 7. I have a 6, 8, and 2 up on the Sproul on top. By Ozan, Ozan is looked up to at 14 to 1 back. I think I had the horse back then because I do love the Ozan early in the career. Subsequently, a 3rd and a 7th. The 7th last time was in an alpha turf with a mile of 40. Back to Queen, Bennett. We talked about the trainer standings with the earlier Jason Bennett, perennially one of the leading trainers, currently sitting 3rd. You mentioned Kathleen O'Connell. She's just been insane at the meet. She's got 30, D'Angelo 26, and Bennett with 20 sitting 3rd. But again, he's in leaders, and so second off the claim, and the cutback 7 I think will be beneficial. So we'll put Lamastrell on top. Second spot we'll go with Bahamian Native. Comes in off a 4th place finish last time, but with a number that I think is going to be good enough to play in with this bunch. We're getting a little class drop. Second off Aiden Breaker, so got a little fit against better last time. I think a good fit with this bunch. And then Dr. Bader in the 3rd spot for the aforementioned D'Angelo, 2nd in the trainer standings. I'm kind of going to draw a line through the last race. It was against better. It was over at Gulfstream, so it gets the venue relief and the price relief as well. So I'll use all 3 of mine in here, 6, 8, and 2. Next way, race number 7, we're looking at calendar condition claimers on the bottom level going 3/4 of a mile. I have it 1, 4, and 8, and I'm going to pull. I've lost my top pick, but I'm going to pull the 6 in the Mac Robertson horse, which scared me to begin with. So with the scratch, I'll pull that one in. So on top for me is not a cat, but a card. This is a tough race. I mean, we're bottom level conditional claim. This one tried this kind of company last time and didn't do a whole lot. But I thought number wise probably matches okay. Similar scenario of preferred outcome. This one though ran okay last time with the number, and the finishing position was an okay 3rd. And that was a first start off a layoff since coming down from the Finger Lakes when last seen in August. So now with a little recency and maybe a little more fitness, preferred outcome, certainly intriguing. Zamfir, 15 to 1 on the morning line, but I thought on the class drop, this one could play with this group. Comes in with a little bit of a bullet workout. And again, at this level, they're inconsistent, but on the best effort, this horse, I think, is squarely in the mix. And then, as I said, Sam Tequila for Mac Robertson comes in off a series of improving numbers. In similar company, maybe a little bit better on the conditions and whatnot, but I think is going to fit with this particular group on those numbers. So for me, in the 7th, I will use 1, 4, 8, and 6. And in the upcoming 8th race, I'm only going to go a couple deep in here. I have 7 and 3, but I'll use the 1 and the 4. Hope we get through here with Spike Zone on top. The morning line favorite comes in with a 2-race win streak and a just miss just before that. So just in very good fire and good numbers. Jamie Ness having a good meet, logical as the favorite, and stands to live up to that. Greg Sacco having a pretty good meet. He has Sammy Camacho, who again talked about, you and Jason talked about Sammy is at the top of the list, and this one has been ridden by Sammy in the last to win and a near miss last time, both as the favorite. I didn't want to leave that one out of the mix. Lion and St. Tappet from Fletcher certainly have the potential to get in, but as I say, they both have question marks, but they do scare me. But I'm only going to use the 1 and the 4 in the 8th race, the 1 and the 4, and then in the finale, I will go. I said 4 deep, but one of mine scratched, so I'm actually deep in this last leg. I have it 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to put Frizzanti on top. Last couple of starts were pretty good, a second and a third. Last time they claimed the horse back to 32 and then got ambitious to make special company. I thought still ran okay, relatively speaking, to this bunch, but now they drop back in for the tag. And again, it's Greg Sacco. Idle Union goes maiden special weight to maiden claiming for a trainer who's having a pretty good meet. The last race wasn't a whole lot. 2 races back. We can get back to that maybe with the class prop we do. I think I label and Dunedin Causeway in the 3rd spot. Again, another one, 2 back. We had a pretty good race for a tag. Tried maiden spec last time. Getting back tag, that one is playable as well. But for me, in the finale tonight, 7, 8,
So we've got 3 by 4 by 2 by 3, 2, 6, 8, with 1, 4, 6, 8, with 1, 4, with 7, 8, 9. One more time, 2, 6, 8, with 1, 4, 6, 8, with 1, 4, with 7, 8, 9. $36 ticket, 3 by 4 by 2 by 3. Seth Merrill coming off of last week's nice hit that could have been potential with a couple of wouldn't have taken much to turn that from several hundred actually. Seth.
Yeah, a couple of the clever ideas second behind the shorter priced winners.
Yep.
So we scored, but yeah, could have been a little better. We'll see if we can get one of the clever ideas to make a little noise to Seth.
Well, and I actually by going through the Tampa PPs, I found my Turfway sheet that I was looking for the entire time that Caitlin was on with us. Like
that sounds familiar. I have done that a number of times.
Right?
You're like, I know I brought that this morning, and then 3 hours later, you're going through your handicap. Oh, there it is. It's in the middle of the background.
It's stuck. Yeah, it's stuck on the back of a page. There's one horse in this sequence that makes me smile. Liam Benson, who everybody probably remembers, and especially for those around racing in Kentucky, that he bred that Not a Cat But a Card, and that came on the heels of Not a Cat But a Llama, and that whole era. But this was a horse that he bred and he trained early on, and is now a 9-year. It's unbelievable. This would be his 72nd start. And Liam, I forget who he's working for right now, but he's working for. I see him at in Kentucky, and I forget where I just most recently saw him. But anyway, Liam Benson, the breeder of Not a Cat But a Card. What a long, nice career. 71 starts, 9-time winner.
7 seconds, 14 thirds. So yeah, it's been a productive career.
Yeah, no, he's.
We'll look for him to put another W on today.
Yeah, it's a nice sequence here. It's too bad about the turf, and I don't know.
From the way you and Jason talked, and I had looked up the weather this morning, so I was kind of sticking with the turf before the scratches came out. And then the scratches came out.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised because the weather was saying really no precipitation today. So I'm assuming it.
It teamed.
A nice day. You just had.
It teamed down rain last night, and I mean the race that it's not in this sequence, but it does start the pick 5. That 5th race too, Seth, would have been
the show course I was looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. There is an MTO for Barbara Minchell, Money Beats, that obviously comes in, and actually it'd be interesting to see if Shug shipped over or not, because that horse has been running on the dirt. He was putting.
No, it's
scratched. Okay. All right.
But I thought it was going to be interesting. She was going to be interesting trying the turf. So folks should look for African Waters going forward. The dam herself was 3 for 3, won the Suncoast at Tampa many years ago. There was a sibling called Luke's Alley that won the Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap. Another sibling was 5 for 6 in the career. So keep your eyes open for African waters.
Yeah, well, he was the Shug. I said earlier he's been killing it here. The ones he's been shipping over. Seth Merrow, everybody, and a busy Wednesday. Caitlin Free earlier. Jason, the voice of Tampa and the voice of Colonial. Sire Watch Pedigree Focus brought to you by Hill and Dale with Sid, Hong Kong, and a nice $168 pick 3. And Dave O'Rourke from the New York Racing Association with details on the new, incredible, beautiful Belmont Park. Back with you here tomorrow. We'll have the card to start wading into at Tampa. Thanks, everybody. Good luck if you're playing today. All those options. Plus, has got a nice Wednesday card, too, and Gulfstream. See you tomorrow.